raced through the woods together and pretended they were powerful warriors defending Silver Pine from imaginary enemies. That friendship had ended when Patricia shifted for the first time at 16. Her wolf had been small, russet brown, barely reaching the shoulder of many adolescent wolves in the pack. And with that first transformation came a label Patricia had never escaped: Omega, the lowest rank, the weakest position in a pack where strength decided nearly everything. Kitty's first shift had been completely different. She had become a graceful silver wolf whose coat gleamed beneath the moonlight, and almost as quickly as Kitty had changed forms, she had changed loyalties. The girl who once called Patricia her best friend began treating her like someone beneath notice. Patricia. Another voice pulled her from the memory. Tanya Moore, head Omega of the pack and Patricia's direct supervisor, entered the kitchen wearing her usual impatient expression. The Luna wants the salmon seasoned with dill instead of rosemary. Start again. Patricia froze. She had spent more than an hour cleaning, filleting, and seasoning 12 large pieces of salmon. Starting over now meant there was almost no chance she would finish everything before the celebration. But Tanya, the written menu from the Luna specifically said rosemary. Tanya's eyes flashed yellow. Are you arguing with me? Patricia immediately looked down. Even Omegas had a hierarchy, and Tanya had spent years making certain Patricia remained at the bottom of it. The Luna changed her mind, Tanya continued. Unless you're suggesting Luna Georgina isn't allowed to change her own menu inside her own pack house. No, of course not. Patricia gathered the prepared salmon. I'll redo it. Tanya's expression softened, though not with kindness. You know, Patricia, your life wouldn't have to be this difficult if you accepted Blake Todd's offer. Patricia's stomach tightened. Blake was the pack's head warrior. He was also 20 years older than Patricia and had spent the last 6 months becoming increasingly aggressive about his interest in her. He wanted an Omega mate, not a partner. Someone who would cook his meals, clean his home, bear his children, and never challenge him. Someone who understood what he considered her proper place. I'm not interested in Blake. Patricia scraped the perfectly seasoned salmon into the trash and opened the refrigerator for new pieces. Kitty laughed from the counter, where she had been pretending not to listen while filing her nails. Not interested? She looked Patricia up and down. You're 23, you aren't getting younger, and you certainly aren't getting prettier. Blake is offering you protection and security, as much security as someone like you can expect anyway, and somehow you're still too proud to take it. I'm not proud. Patricia's hands trembled slightly. I just want what everyone else wants. Kitty lifted one eyebrow. Patricia swallowed. A true mate, someone who actually sees me. Silence held the kitchen for a heartbeat. Then Kitty laughed. Tanya joined her. A true mate? Kitty managed between bursts of laughter. Patricia, that might be the funniest thing you've ever said. Patricia stared down at the salmon. Kitty continued. You actually believe an alpha, or even a respectable beta, is going to look at you and feel the mate bond? She shook her head. You're an Omega. The moon goddess doesn't waste true mates on wolves like you. The words struck exactly where Kitty intended them to. Patricia gave her no reaction. She had learned years ago how to hide pain, how to become quiet, how to take up less space, how to become invisible before someone decided to remind her she was unwanted. It was how she had survived inside a pack that regarded her as somewhere between an inconvenience and an embarrassment. The salmon, Tanya reminded her as she headed toward the door. And make yourself presentable tonight. Alpha Owen wants every member of the pack attending the celebration, even Omegas. Kitty followed Tanya. Before leaving, she looked back. Try not to embarrass the rest of us simply by being there. The door closed. Patricia gripped the edge of the counter until her knuckles whitened. Then she inhaled deeply. Once, twice, 3 times. Exactly the way Grandma Rosemary had taught her. When the world feels too heavy, little wolf, you breathe. 3 deep breaths. Then you remember who you are beneath their cruelty. You remember that blood does not lie, even when everyone around you does. Patricia closed her eyes. Grandma Rosemary had been dead for 3 months. She had passed peacefully in her sleep at 97. She had also been the only person Patricia could remember who had always made her feel valuable, loved, seen. Every summer of Patricia's childhood had been spent in Rosemary's old mountain cabin, far from Silver Pine's hierarchy and suffocating rules. Those summers had been the happiest parts of Patricia's life. Rosemary had taught her herbs. Healing. Old traditions most modern packs had forgotten. She had taught Patricia that strength did not always roar. And she had told her again and again that being an Omega did not make her worthless. Now Rosemary was gone. And Patricia remained trapped among wolves who seemed to wish she would disappear with her. She had nearly finished seasoning the replacement salmon when the kitchen door opened again. This time Lucas Morrison walked in. Patricia's heartbeat changed immediately. Lucas was 27 and everything Silver Pine expected an alpha heir to be. Tall, broad-shouldered, dark-haired. His eyes could shift from warm honey to cold amber within seconds. He was Alpha Owen's son. And once he had also been Patricia's friend. The one person who had continued treating her almost normally after her Omega status was revealed. At least until 2 years ago. Patricia. Lucas sounded tense. We need to talk. Her hands stopped moving. Lucas rarely sought her out now. As his responsibilities as future Alpha increased, the distance between them had widened, until Patricia sometimes wondered whether their childhood friendship had been something she had imagined. I'm working. She kept her eyes on the counter. The celebration. Damn the celebration. Lucas crossed the kitchen in 3 long steps. Patricia, look at me. She did. And instantly regretted it. His expression held conflict, pain, and something else she could not identify. Something that made her wolf, usually quiet and withdrawn, suddenly stir. Lucas drew a breath. I'm getting engaged tonight. Patricia's fingers tightened around the knife. To Kitty, he continued quickly. My father arranged it. I accepted. She had expected this for more than a year. Lucas was the alpha heir. Kitty came from the beta line. Their marriage made political sense. It united 2 powerful families and strengthened Silver Pine's internal hierarchy. It had nothing to do with Patricia. Congratulations! Her voice was steadier than she expected. Kitty will make a good Luna. Lucas stared at her. That's it? He grabbed her arm. Not painfully, but hard enough to make her gasp. That's all you have to say? Patricia pulled free. What exactly do you want from me, Lucas? For once, anger overcame caution. Did you come here hoping I'd cry? Did you want my blessing? I'm an Omega. You're the alpha heir. We both knew where this was going. It doesn't have to. Lucas stopped himself. He dragged a hand through his hair. Patricia, there are things you don't know. Her anger faltered. What things? Things about your bloodline. Things about why you... Alpha Lucas? Kitty's voice drifted from the hallway, sweet enough to sound pleasant, until someone knew her well enough to recognize the blade underneath. Are you in there? Your father is looking for you. Lucas clenched his jaw. For one moment Patricia thought he would ignore Kitty and finish what he had started. He had been making strange comments for almost a year. Half-spoken warnings. Unfinished sentences. Moments when he looked at Patricia as though he knew something about her that she did not. But the conflict disappeared behind the controlled mask of the future Alpha. We'll talk later. Lucas moved toward the door. After the celebration, meet me at the north border at midnight. He looked back at her. Please, Patricia, it's important. Then he left before she could answer. Patricia remained beside the counter, surrounded by the scent of fresh salmon and questions she could not answer. What had Lucas nearly told her? Chapter 2. The Birthday Curse. The Silver Pine pack house glittered beneath hundreds of lights. Every polished surface reflected gold and silver. Crystal chandeliers scattered fragments of color over the walls. The great hall had been transformed into something almost royal, and Patricia suspected that was exactly what Alpha Owen Kane intended. Tonight marked Owen's 55th birthday. He had ruled Silver Pine for more than 30 years, and he wanted every visiting alpha, beta, heir, and mate in attendance to remember that his pack remained powerful. Patricia stood with the other Omega servers in the kitchen and smoothed the simple black dress Tanya had given her. It was plain, practical, 2 sizes too large. On Patricia's already small frame, it made her look even smaller. She had pulled her dark hair into a severe bun. Any attempt to look beautiful would only invite accusations that she was pretending to be above her station. Tanya faced the 6 Omegas scheduled to serve that evening. Remember what you are. They listened silently. You are invisible. You do not speak unless someone speaks to you first. You do not make eye contact with anyone above your rank. You serve, smile if you are acknowledged, and return to the kitchen. Her gaze traveled down the line. Understood? Yes, Tanya, they answered together. Good. Her eyes settled on Patricia. You're serving the main table. Patricia's stomach dropped. The main table meant Alpha Owen, Luna Georgina, Lucas, Kitty, Lucas, Kitty, and whichever high-ranking guests Owen considered most important. It was the most visible assignment in the hall, which meant it also offered the greatest opportunity for a mistake. Of course Tanya gave it to me. She wants me to fail. But the evening began without disaster. Guests arrived in groups, each dressed more extravagantly than the last. Patricia recognized many of them, alphas from neighboring packs, senior betas, their mates, and their heirs. The hall filled with voices, laughter, wine, and the invisible calculations of pack politics Patricia had spent her entire life watching from the edges. She moved between tables almost unnoticed. A ghost carrying wine, replacing empty plates, removing used glasses. Most guests never looked at her. Those who did seemed to look through her. Patricia told herself that no longer hurt. Then Alpha Owen rose. Attention. The single word silenced the room. He stood at the head of the main table, broad and commanding. Luna Georgina sat beside him, silver hair perfectly arranged, her expression calm. Lucas stood behind his father's chair in a tailored suit. Kitty stood beside Lucas in an emerald gown that probably cost more than Patricia earned in an entire year. Owen smiled at the gathered guests. Thank you all for coming tonight. His voice held the natural authority of a man accustomed to immediate obedience. As many of you know, this evening is not merely a celebration of another year of my life. It is also a celebration of Silver Pine's future. Patricia's hand trembled slightly as she refilled a visiting alpha's wine. She knew what was coming. Owen raised his glass. It gives me great pleasure to announce the engagement of my son, Lucas Morrison, to Kitty McAuliffe, daughter of our esteemed Beta. Applause filled the hall. This union will strengthen Silver Pine and ensure our pack continues to prosper for generations. Kitty smiled brilliantly. Lucas took her hand and slipped a large diamond ring onto her finger. Light flashed from the stone. Patricia forced herself to applaud. Her expression remained neutral. She would not let anyone see pain. She would not give Kitty that satisfaction. Then a scent struck Patricia with such force that her breath caught. Pine. Cedar. Something wild beneath it. Ancient. Intoxicating. Her wolf surged awake. Not gradually, violently. Patricia gasped. The wine bottle slipped from her fingers. It hit the marble floor and shattered. Red wine spread across white stone among glittering fragments of glass. The crash silenced the hall. Every face turned toward Patricia, but she barely noticed. The scent had become overwhelming. Her wolf was no longer withdrawn. She was screaming one word inside Patricia's mind. Mate, mate, mate. Patricia slowly raised her eyes. They found Lucas, and she saw the exact second he felt it too. His face drained of color. His entire body went rigid. The sacred bond forged by the moon goddess snapped fully into place between them. Patricia's heart stopped. Number. Not now. Not him. Not like this. Patricia. Lucas barely breathed her name, yet in the silent hall it carried. His expression held shock, horror, recognition. She's clumsy. Kitty stepped directly between them. Her voice cut through the moment. Alpha Owen, I apologize. The Omega will clean this up immediately. But Owen was not looking at the glass. He was staring at Lucas. The warmth had vanished from his face. Lucas. His voice was dangerously quiet. What does that look mean? Lucas clenched both hands. Nothing, father. His voice sounded empty. The noise surprised me. Liar. Owen did not raise his voice. He did not need to. I know what it looks like when a mate bond manifests. A terrible stillness settled over the hall. I will ask once more, what is the meaning of that look? Every wolf present understood what was at stake. A true mate bond was supposed to supersede arrangements, engagements, politics, status. If Patricia and Lucas were true mates, then his engagement to Kitty should have ended before it truly began. But Patricia already knew Silver Pine would never accept that. Not when Lucas's mate was an Omega. Not when that Omega was her. Lucas stopped. His eyes found Patricia. Something inside them seemed to break. Then his face hardened. She's nothing, father. Patricia stopped breathing. Just an Omega who startled me. Her wolf howled before Lucas even said the formal words. The rejection had already begun. Lucas. Tears blurred Patricia's sight. No, please. Lucas looked as though speaking was tearing him apart, but he spoke. I, Lucas Morrison, future alpha of Silver Pine Pack, reject you, Patricia Alvarez, as my mate. Patricia's legs weakened. I sever the bond between us of my own free will and through the authority of my bloodline. Pain ripped through her chest. There was no comparison for it. It felt as if something had reached inside her body, wrapped its hands around her living heart, and torn it apart. Her wolf screamed. The bond pulled, stretched, broke. Patricia collapsed onto her knees among shattered glass and spilled wine. She pressed both hands against her chest, as though that could stop the damage. She could barely breathe. But the rejection had to be completed. If she refused to accept it, the unfinished break could destroy her. Her voice cracked. Patricia Alvarez. She forced the words through the agony. Accept your rejection. The mate bond snapped. Her wolf gave one small, broken whimper, then retreated so deeply inside Patricia that Patricia could barely feel her. Kitty laughed. The sound cut through the stunned room. Well, she smiled as though nothing more serious than a broken glass had interrupted the evening. Now that we've settled that, perhaps we can continue celebrating. I believe champagne is waiting. Conversation slowly resumed. Quiet at first, then louder. Servers hurried forward to clear the broken glass. Patricia remained on the floor. She could not make her body move. The rejection burned through her veins like poison. Get her out. Owen looked down at her with disgust. And contact the pack lawyer. I want this formally recorded. My son rejected his mate in front of witnesses. I want no future legal dispute over the bond. Hands closed around Patricia's arms. Blake Todd hauled her upright. His fingers dug hard enough to bruise. Come on, little Omega. His mouth moved close to her ear. Let's put you somewhere you can't ruin anything else. He began dragging her from the hall. Then his voice dropped. I have to admit, this works out nicely for me. Now that an alpha has rejected you, maybe you'll finally reconsider my offer. Patricia tried to pull away. Her body barely responded. The rejection had drained everything from her. Blake dragged her down a corridor and shoved her into a storage room that smelled of cleaning chemicals and stale air. You stay here until the celebration ends. He looked her over. And Patricia? She said nothing. Think about what I offered. His expression carried ugly satisfaction. You're damaged goods now. Nobody else is going to want you. I'm still willing to overlook your defects. He stepped back. All you have to do is say yes. The door slammed. A lock clicked. Patricia stood in darkness. Her mate bond was gone. Her wolf had vanished into silence. Every breath hurt. She sank down the wall and wrapped her arms around herself. Then she finally broke. She cried for the childhood friendship she had once shared with Lucas. For the mate bond she had felt for only moments before he destroyed it. For the love she had secretly hoped existed somewhere in the world for her. For a future that had disappeared before she ever touched it. But beneath all of that grief was something worse. Some part of Patricia had always expected this. Omegas like her did not receive grand love stories. They did not receive happy endings. They got rejected in crowded halls and locked in storage rooms while everyone else went back to celebrating. Hours passed, music faded, footsteps diminished. Eventually, Patricia's tears stopped because there seemed to be nothing left inside her to cry. She had nearly slipped into exhausted sleep when voices sounded beyond the door. Completely inexcusable. Tanya. Patricia straightened. The Alpha is furious. He wants her gone. A male voice answered. One of the warriors. Gone as in expelled? Worse. Tanya lowered her voice. He's invoking the old laws. At dawn she'll be declared rogue. Patricia went cold. No pack will be permitted to accept her afterward. The warrior hesitated. That seems extreme. She disrupted the Alpha Heir's engagement, Tanya replied, destroyed pack property, and most importantly, attempted to claim a mate bond with the future Alpha, while knowing he had already been promised to someone else. Patricia stared into the darkness. Attempted to claim? She had done nothing. The bond had happened. The moon goddess had chosen it. But facts no longer mattered. Tanya continued. Alpha Owen is within his rights. Their footsteps moved away. Patricia remained still. Declared rogue. For many wolves, those two words were effectively a death sentence. Without pack protection, she would have no legal territory. No right to join another pack. No one required to defend her from supernatural predators or human hunters. She had less than 6 hours until dawn. She should have been terrified. Instead, one image came to her. Grandma Rosemary's cabin. The mountain property Rosemary had left Patricia in her will 3 months earlier. It stood far outside Silver Pine territory. Far away from Owen, from Kitty, from Blake, from Lucas. Patricia slowly pushed herself upright. The rejection still hurt, but for the first time since the bond snapped, her thoughts became clear. She had until sunrise. Enough time to escape. Enough time to gather what little belonged to her. Enough time to run. Patricia had spent most of her life running in one way or another. But this time she would run toward something. She would go to the cabin. She would claim what Rosemary had left her. And if she had to build a life alone in the mountains because her pack had never wanted her, then she would. She no longer had another choice. Chapter 3. The Inheritance. The lock on the storage room door was old. Simple. It had been installed to keep obedient Omegas inside, not determined prisoners. Patricia had learned how to pick locks at 13. That summer she had stayed with Grandma Rosemary while recovering from a training accident that left her with 3 broken ribs. Rosemary had placed a set of lockpicks into her hands. A wolf who cannot shift her way out of trouble needs other tools. The world is rarely kind to those it believes are weak, so become strong in ways it never expects. Patricia pulled a bobby pin from her hair. She bent it carefully. Less than 2 minutes later, the lock released. The corridor outside was dark. The celebration was over. She could hear occasional snoring from guest rooms and quiet voices belonging to night guards. No one watched the Omega wing closely. Patricia slipped into her room. Nothing had changed. A narrow bed, a dresser with 3 drawers, a window facing the training grounds. She had lived there for 7 years, ever since her parents died when she was 16. Silver Pine had taken her in afterward because pack law required it, not because anyone particularly wanted her. They had made that difference very clear. Patricia pulled an old backpack from beneath the bed. She packed quickly. 3 changes of clothes, a first aid kit, the envelope containing the deed to Rosemary's cabin, a small wooden box holding the only jewelry she owned. Inside was a silver necklace with a wolf pendant that Rosemary had given Patricia on her 18th birthday. She reached for her jacket. Footsteps sounded outside, heavy, male, coming directly toward her room. Patricia's heart raced. She slipped behind the dresser, squeezing into the narrow space between the furniture and the wall. The door opened. Lucas entered. His face looked exhausted in the moonlight coming through the window. "Patricia?" He spoke quietly. "I know you're here." She held her breath. "Please, we need to talk." Patricia wanted to remain hidden, wanted him to leave, wanted never to see him again. Then a sharp breath escaped her. Lucas heard it. He crossed the room, gripped the dresser, and moved it aside with one hand. Patricia was exposed. Lucas stared at her. His eyes were red. His hair was disordered. He looked as though the few hours since the celebration had aged him years. "Thank God." He reached toward her. "Patricia, listen. You have to leave tonight. Right now." She slapped his hand away. The phantom pain of the broken bond flared. "Don't touch me." Her voice was cold. "You made your position clear, Lucas." She stood. "Or should I call you Alpha Lucas now?" He flinched. "You don't understand." "No, I understand perfectly. My father intends to declare you rogue at dawn. I already know." Lucas stared. "But that isn't the worst part." Patricia paused. Lucas glanced toward the hall before lowering his voice. "There are things about your bloodline you don't know, things your grandmother hid because she believed hiding them would protect you." Patricia's anger shifted into confusion. "What are you talking about?" "The land where Rosemary's cabin stands." Lucas moved closer. "It isn't neutral territory." "What?" "It hasn't been for more than 50 years. Patricia felt unease crawl along her skin. "Your grandmother's property is on the edge of Blood Moon territory." Patricia shook her head. "Blood Moon disappeared decades ago. Every pup knows that. After the Lycan king withdrew from the world, his pack scattered. The territory became unclaimed. That's the history we were taught." Lucas's expression tightened. "It isn't true." Patricia stared at him. "The Blood Moon territory was never abandoned. It still belongs to him." "To who?" "The Lycan king." Lucas spoke the title quietly. "He's still in those mountains." Patricia almost laughed. "That's impossible. The Lycan king would be more than 300 years old. Lycans aren't normal wolves." Lucas shook his head. "They're older, stronger, more powerful than any alpha, and this one didn't simply disappear. He went into something like hibernation, isolation, whatever you want to call it." Patricia stared at him. Lucas continued. "Your grandmother knew him." The words struck harder than Patricia expected. "What?" "She had an agreement with him, some kind of bargain that allowed her to live on his land without interference." He gripped Patricia's shoulders. "But Rosemary is dead. Whatever agreement protected her may have died with her." Patricia pulled free. Rosemary had never mentioned a Lycan king. She had called the cabin Patricia's birthright, said their family had belonged there for generations. But Rosemary had also spoken repeatedly about blood, old magic, remaining true to yourself, even when everyone tried to make you smaller. Patricia looked at Lucas. "Why are you telling me any of this?" He went still. "You rejected me." Her voice hardened. "You chose Kitty. You chose your father. Why warn me now?" "I chose the pack." Lucas sounded desperate. "I chose 300 wolves who depend on me over one." He stopped. "One what?" Patricia demanded. "One Omega maid?" "You don't understand the politics." "I understand enough. My father knew." Patricia frowned. "Knew what?" "He knew about our mate bond before tonight." Silence. Patricia almost stopped breathing. What? Lucas looked away. He's known for 2 years. Patricia stared at him. When I turned 25, I started experiencing early signs of the bond. His voice became quieter. My father hired a seer. He wanted to know who my mate would be before the bond fully manifested, so he could arrange the most advantageous marriage. Patricia felt sick. The seer told him it was me. Lucas nodded. He forbade me from completing the bond. He ordered me to reject you the moment it fully formed. 2 years. Patricia barely recognized her own voice. You knew for 2 years. Patricia, you knew I was your mate. Tears burned her eyes again, but this time anger held them back. You watched me. You avoided me. You let me believe I imagined everything between us. I was looking for another solution. Lucas stepped toward her. I tried to persuade him. I searched pack law for anything that could let me claim you and still remain heir. But you found nothing. Tonight the bond manifested in front of everyone. Lucas's voice cracked. I had no choice. You had a choice. If I had accepted you, my father would have challenged me for the alpha position. He looked directly at her. He would have killed me, Patricia. She said nothing. And after killing me, he still would have declared you rogue. Lucas spread his hands helplessly. At least this way you're alive. Barely. Patricia lifted her backpack. You should leave. Patricia, please. Someone could see you. Her smile held no warmth. You wouldn't want anyone misunderstanding your relationship with a rejected Omega. It might damage your engagement. Lucas's eyes filled. Actual tears rolled down the future Alpha's face. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. No. I know what I did can't be repaired. But please listen about the cabin. He stepped closer. Don't go there. Patricia frowned. Go anywhere else. I'll give you money. I can arrange passage through another territory. I can... Why? Because you don't understand what the Lycan King is capable of. Patricia gave a hollow laugh. I've been rejected by my true mate, locked in a storage room, and sentenced to become rogue at sunrise. She looked at him. Whatever this terrifying king might do cannot be much worse than what my own pack already has. You don't know that. No, Lucas. Patricia moved toward the door. You don't know what I'm capable of. She paused. Rosemary left me that cabin for a reason. Maybe she knew I would need it. Maybe she knew Silver Pine would eventually show me exactly how little I mattered here. Lucas opened his mouth. Your grandmother was... He stopped. Patricia turned. She was what? Conflict passed across his face. Then he shook his head. Nothing. She waited. Just be careful. He lowered his voice. And Patricia, I am sorry. She looked at him for several seconds. So am I. His expression broke. I'm sorry I ever believed someone like you might be brave enough to love someone like me. Patricia left him standing in her empty room. She never looked back. 3 main exits led from the pack house. All were guarded. But the building also had several older secondary routes most wolves had forgotten. One was an abandoned coal chute in the basement from the years before the pack converted to modern heating. Patricia squeezed through it. She emerged in bushes behind the house covered in dust and cobwebs. For one moment, she looked back. The pack house had been the only permanent home she had known for 7 years. Then Patricia turned toward the forest. And ran. Her wolf remained too wounded by the rejection to shift. So Patricia fled on human legs. Her backpack struck her shoulders. Breath burned in her lungs. Dawn was less than 3 hours away. She had to cross Silver Pine's borders before Owen made the rogue declaration official and sent trackers after her. Patricia knew the forest. She had explored it as a child and remembered hidden paths most wolves ignored. She used every one she could. She moved through undergrowth, avoided open ground, crossed rocky patches whenever possible to reduce her scent trail. She was still 2 miles from the border when howls rose behind her. They had discovered her escape. and the hunt had already begun. Patricia ran harder. Her muscles screamed. Ahead, she saw the old oak carved with silver pine's crest. Beyond it ran the stream dividing their territory from the wilderness. The howls grew louder, closer. Patricia burst from the trees and plunged into the freezing water. Cold shocked through her body. She nearly cried out, but the stream would break her scent. Buy precious time. She dragged herself up the opposite bank and kept running. She had crossed Silver Pine's border, but she was not safe. Not yet. She had to reach Rosemary's property. If Lucas had told the truth, entering that land without the Lycan King's permission might be incredibly foolish, but turning back meant certain death. At least forward offered a possibility. The sky had begun to lighten when Patricia finally saw the cabin. Small, wooden, nestled in a familiar clearing. Then she almost cried from relief. Then she noticed the smoke. A thin line curled from the chimney. Patricia slowed. That made no sense. Rosemary had been dead for 3 months. No one should have been there. She approached cautiously. Morning mist clung unnaturally close to the ground. The forest had gone silent. No birds. No insects. No wind. And for the first time since Lucas rejected her, Patricia felt her wolf stir. She stopped 10 feet from the door. A presence pressed against her senses. Ancient. Powerful. Heavy enough to make the air itself seem different. Her wolf whimpered. But beneath the fear was something Patricia did not understand. Recognition. The cabin door opened. A man stepped outside. He was enormous. At least 6.5 feet tall. Silver-white hair fell to his shoulders. His eyes burned molten gold in the dawn light. His clothing was simple, dark trousers and a loose shirt, but nothing about him felt ordinary. Authority radiated from him as naturally as heat from a flame. He looked at Patricia. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then the stranger smiled. It was the most frightening smile Patricia had ever seen. "Hello, little Omega." His voice was smooth, deep, and powerful. "I've been waiting for you." Chapter 4. Ancient Bloodlines. Patricia's legs refused to obey her. Every survival instinct told her to run. Her wolf told her the same thing. And yet the damaged creature inside her had also gone strangely still, almost mesmerized. The Lycan King descended the cabin's 3 wooden steps. Despite his size, he moved with perfect control, graceful, precise, like someone who had spent centuries learning exactly how dangerous he could be. "You're trembling." He studied her. Fear or cold? His gaze dropped to her soaked clothing. Perhaps both. Patricia forced herself to speak. "Who are you?" The question sounded weak even to her. "And what are you doing in my grandmother's cabin?" One silver eyebrow rose. "Your grandmother's cabin?" He almost sounded amused. "How interesting. I had always considered it my cabin." Patricia stiffened. "On my land," he added. "Inside my territory." He stepped closer. Patricia moved backward. The Lycan King watched. "I suppose Rosemary never told you the complete truth." Patricia's stomach tightened. "You knew my grandmother?" "Knew her." His laugh rolled through the clearing like distant thunder. "Little Omega, I have known your bloodline longer than your pack has existed." He stopped. "Rosemary Love and I had an arrangement." Patricia blinked. Rosemary Love. Love had been her grandmother's maiden name, though after marriage she had used Morrison. What arrangement? Rosemary was allowed to use this cabin in exchange for certain services. Something in his phrasing made Patricia tense. His golden eyes flashed with amusement. "Not those kinds of services, if that is where your mind went." She flushed. "Your grandmother was a healer, one of the last who remembered the old ways. When I required her skills, she provided them." He looked around the clearing. "In return, I allowed her to live here without interference." Another step. This time Patricia held her ground. "But Rosemary is dead." His expression changed. And you, little Omega, are trespassing. Patricia immediately opened her backpack and pulled out the envelope. The cabin belongs to me now. She held out the deed. My grandmother left it to me. He barely glanced at the papers. A human deed has no authority over Lycan territory. My grandmother legally owned. Your grandmother had my permission to reside here. His voice ended the argument. You do not. Patricia swallowed. There was nowhere else. No pack. No sanctuary. No one who would take in a declared rogue. Then I'm asking. The words left her before pride could stop them. He regarded her. I'm asking for permission to stay. Patricia's voice weakened. Please. Something in his expression changed. My pack declared me rogue. The Lycan king became completely still. For what crime? Humiliation burned through Patricia. For being rejected by their future alpha. His eyes narrowed. For disrupting his engagement ceremony. She gave a bitter laugh. For existing inconveniently. Something dangerous flashed in those molten eyes. Your mate rejected you? Yes. Why? Because I'm an Omega. Patricia's bitterness surfaced. Because his father arranged a better political marriage. Because Silver Pine values rank more than a bond chosen by the moon goddess. The Lycan king studied her so intensely that Patricia felt exposed. Finally he spoke. Your alpha condemned you because your mate lacked the courage to claim what the moon goddess gave him. He isn't weak. The defense left Patricia automatically. She hated herself for it. He's trapped by responsibility, his father, the pack. Weakness wearing the clothing of duty is still weakness. The Lycan king began circling her. Tell me something. Patricia followed him with her eyes. Do you know why Rosemary never told you about me? No. Or why she never told you who truly owned this land? No. He stopped directly in front of her. Because Rosemary knew that the moment you crossed my border, everything would change. Patricia's pulse accelerated. She knew I would feel your presence. He leaned closer. She knew I would recognize what you are. Patricia's throat tightened. What I am? She forced a laugh. I'm an Omega, that's all. No. His interruption was immediate. You are Rosemary Love's granddaughter. Patricia stared. That makes you a descendant of the Silver Moon bloodline. The name meant almost nothing to her beyond old stories. One of the original pack lines from before the Great Fracturing 3 centuries ago. His hand moved faster than Patricia could follow. He caught her chin and made her look directly into his eyes. Rosemary was not merely a healer. His voice lowered. She was a Silver Moon princess living in hiding. Patricia forgot to breathe. And if she was a princess, he held her gaze. Then royal blood runs through you. Patricia jerked against his grip. That's impossible. He released her. My family isn't royal. We're common wolves. Omegas. The Lycan king gave a humorless laugh. Is that what they taught you? Patricia stared at him. The Omega designation is not a measurement of your true strength. What else would it be? A measurement of where you submit within a pack hierarchy. He turned away. And your bloodline was never particularly skilled at submission. I don't understand. Of course you don't. He looked back. Your pack spent your entire life making you smaller, teaching you that their opinion determined your worth. His voice became colder. But Silver Pine has no authority here. He climbed the steps. On my territory, there is only one authority. He paused at the door. Mine. Patricia rubbed her arms, dizzy from exhaustion and revelation. So what does that mean? Are you allowing me to stay? For now. He looked over his shoulder. You may remain in the cabin while I decide what should be done with you. Done with me? Rosemary's bargain ended with her death. Perhaps you and I can negotiate another. His smile was sharp. But understand something, little Omega. You entered my territory. He opened the door. You follow my rules now. What rules? First, you do not leave my land without permission. Patricia frowned. The moment you cross the boundary, your protection ends. Any pack looking for a rogue may claim you. So I'm a prisoner. Call it protective custody, if that comforts you. Warm light spilled from the cabin. Second, you answer every question I ask honestly. I dislike liars almost as much as I dislike cowardly alphas who reject their mates. And if I refuse? He looked at her. I remove you from my territory myself. His eyes gleamed. Then you may discover how long an unprotected rogue survives. It was not a meaningful choice. Patricia straightened anyway. I'll stay. She met his gaze. And I'll answer. He waited. But I have conditions too. His eyebrows lifted. You have no leverage, yet you make demands. I want freedom to move around the cabin and forest. Patricia forced steadiness into her voice. And I want your word that you won't hurt me. I will not promise never to hurt you. Patricia stiffened. Pain is occasionally necessary for growth, he continued before she could respond. But I will not kill you or permanently harm you without cause. He considered the rest. You may move around the cabin and the surrounding forest. There are areas of this territory forbidden to everyone except me. How will I know? You'll feel the boundary. Patricia frowned. The land itself will warn you. He looked at her seriously. If you are intelligent, you will listen. The adrenaline that had carried Patricia through the night finally began to fade. Exhaustion settled into her bones. The ache from Lucas's rejection remained in her chest. The Lycan King noticed. Inside. I need sleep. You need answers first. Can it wait a few hours? No. The single word held absolute command. Patricia stared at him. The questions I have cannot wait. He stepped aside. Inside. Patricia climbed the steps. The cabin looked almost exactly as she remembered it. The worn leather sofa near the fireplace, the small kitchen, the cast-iron stove, the wooden table where she and Rosemary had eaten countless meals. But new things had appeared. Ancient books lay across the table. A large map covered one wall, marked with symbols Patricia did not recognize. And in one corner stood an enormous four-poster bed that had definitely not existed during her childhood summers. You've been living here, Patricia turned. Since my grandmother died. My cabin, he corrected. And yes. Why? Rosemary's death created complications. I needed to remain close while I dealt with them. What complications? The Lycan King closed the door. Patricia heard the lock. Her body tensed. She was alone with something ancient enough and powerful enough to kill her without effort. Sit. He indicated the sofa. And prepare yourself. Patricia slowly sat. The story you are about to hear will change everything you believe about Rosemary, your bloodline, and why your pack truly wanted you cast out. She clutched her backpack against her body. The Lycan King stood before the fireplace. His face was partly shadowed. When the world was different, 5 great packs dominated wolfkind. He began counting them. Blood Moon, Silver Moon, Dark Wood, Stone Fang, Nightshade. Patricia knew pieces of the legend. Each possessed its own territory, customs, and strengths, and each was protected by beings of extraordinary power, blessed to lead and guard their people. Patricia had always assumed those stories were mythology. The Silver Moon Pack was known for healers. The Lycan King continued. Not ordinary medicine, magic lived in their blood. They could repair the body and wounds of the spirit. He watched Patricia. Rosemary was the final pure-blooded Silver Moon healer. Patricia slowly nodded. Then he said something she did not expect. And she was supposed to belong to me. Patricia blinked. What? We were betrothed. His expression became unreadable. Our packs arranged a union between Blood Moon and Silver Moon. Patricia stared. Rosemary was supposed to become my queen. He spoke without emotion, but old anger lived beneath every word. Together we would have ruled the largest unified territory wolfkind had ever known. But she didn't. No. She married my grandfather. Yes. He said it with obvious bitterness. Rosemary fled the night before our bonding ceremony. Patricia stared. She disappeared into the human world, changed her name, married a common wolf who had no idea what she truly was. His jaw tightened. By the time I found her again, decades had passed. What happened? She asked for sanctuary. His expression darkened. For herself, for her family. Why? Rosemary had seen something. The fire cracked behind him. She believed Silver Moon blood was being hunted by something old and dangerous. Patricia's stomach tightened. She told me her daughter, your mother, had already been marked for death. Patricia felt tears gather. My mother died when I was 16. I know. A rogue attack. No. Patricia froze. The Lycan King's voice became quiet. There was no rogue attack. She stared at him. Your mother was assassinated. Patricia's breathing stopped. No. I failed to protect her. He looked toward the flames. I was consumed by resentment toward Rosemary, by the choices she made centuries after I believed those wounds should have stopped mattering. He faced Patricia again. And because of that failure, your mother died. The cabin seemed to tilt. Everything Patricia knew about her family suddenly felt uncertain. Why are you telling me this? The Lycan King came closer and crouched until his eyes were level with hers. Because you are in real danger. His hand lifted. He gently moved one wet strand of hair from her face. And because your rejection tonight was not random. Patricia stared at him. It wasn't simply pack politics. His golden eyes hardened. Someone wanted you vulnerable. A chill passed through her. Someone wanted you removed from pack protection. Who? His expression turned grim. That is what we are going to discover. Chapter 5. Breaking Chains. Patricia stared at the Lycan King. You're telling me someone arranged my rejection? Not exactly. He moved toward the table. Lucas was pressured, but never remove his responsibility from the decision. In the end, he chose. Patricia appreciated that more than she wanted to admit. He opened one of the old books. Think back, before your parents died, did Alpha Owen ever take unusual interest in your family? Patricia searched her memories. There was one time. How old were you? Maybe 10. She frowned. He came to our house. My mother sent me upstairs and told me not to leave my room no matter what I heard. What happened? They argued for hours. About? I don't know. Patricia swallowed. But when Owen left, my mother was crying. She paused. And my father looked terrified. The Lycan King nodded. Owen knew. Knew what? About your Silver Moon blood. Patricia stared. Rosemary told me he had discovered the connection. She believed pack loyalty would keep him silent. His expression hardened. She was wrong. But why would Owen care? Patricia shook her head. Silver Moon disappeared centuries ago. Power does not simply disappear. The Lycan King opened an ancient volume. It sleeps. Several markings on the page seemed almost luminous in the firelight. It moves through bloodlines even when descendants no longer understand what they carry. He pointed to the text. Rosemary's ability was not merely knowledge of herbs. Patricia leaned closer. It was magic. No. Pure old magic. He tapped the page. Magic most wolves no longer believe exists. I don't have magic. Patricia immediately shook her head. I can barely shift. My wolf is tiny. I'm the weakest. You are not weak. His voice cut through hers. You are suppressed. Patricia fell silent. There is a difference. He turned the book toward her. The language meant nothing to Patricia. This describes the right of diminishment. What is that? An old curse. His golden eyes sharpened. It binds the power of a strong bloodline and makes the victim appear Omega. Patricia went cold. A curse? one requiring 3 components. He raised a finger. Blood sacrifice from the bloodline being bound. A second, betrayal of trust. A third, and time. Patricia stared at him. Your parents' deaths supplied the blood. Her breath caught. Owen's betrayal of your mother's trust supplied the betrayal. He held her gaze. And 16 years of you believing you were weak and worthless gave the curse time to root itself inside you. Patricia felt dizzy. That's insane. She stood abruptly. Why would anyone do that to a child? Because you were never simply a child. He stared at her. You are the last direct descendant of Silver Moon. His jaw tightened. And according to the prophecy, he stopped. Patricia caught it immediately. What prophecy? It isn't important now. You were about to say, what matters is that someone wants you powerless. He closed the book harder than necessary. Someone wants Silver Moon erased. Patricia stared at him. And now that you have been rejected and declared rogue, you are exactly where they wanted you. Patricia's wet clothing suddenly felt unbearably cold. I need dry clothes. She rubbed her face. And I need time to think. Your old room is unchanged. He pointed toward the back of the cabin. Rosemary kept it exactly as you left it. Patricia walked toward the door, then paused. You still haven't told me your name. The Lycan King watched her. Calling you the Lycan King every time isn't exactly convenient. For a long moment he said nothing. Then, Vince. Patricia waited. Vince Shields. His expression shifted slightly. I have not spoken that name to another living person for more than 200 years. Patricia stared. Why tell me? If we intend to keep you alive together, first names seem efficient. The smallest hint of a smile touched his mouth. And Rosemary asked me to watch over you if anything happened to her. Patricia's chest tightened. I failed your mother. Vince's expression became hard. I will not fail again. Patricia entered her old room. The narrow bed still carried the patchwork quilt she remembered. The dresser remained painted with small wildflowers. Beyond the window lay the meadow where purple lupines bloomed during warmer months. She peeled off her wet clothing and found old jeans and a soft flannel shirt in the dresser. Then she looked at herself in the small mirror. She barely recognized the woman staring back. Her dark hair hung in tangled strands. Her eyes were swollen and red. And just above the shirt collar, Patricia froze. A pale silver mark curved across her skin. A crescent moon. She pulled the collar aside. The mark looked like an old scar, healed long ago, but Patricia had no memory of receiving it. She touched the crescent. Warmth spread beneath her fingers. Not heat from the skin. Something deeper, like embers waking inside her chest. Magic? A knock startled her. Patricia. Vince. You need to see something. She opened the door. He held an old letter. The paper had yellowed. Red wax sealed the fold. And stamped into the wax was a symbol Patricia recognized immediately. Rosemary had drawn it dozens of times during Patricia's childhood. The Silver Moon crest. I found this among Rosemary's private belongings. Vince handed it to her. It is addressed to you. Patricia's fingers began trembling. She left instructions that it should only be given to you if you came here seeking sanctuary. Patricia broke the wax. Her grandmother's handwriting filled the page. The familiar curves alone nearly made her cry. My dearest Patricia, if you are reading this, then what I feared has happened. You have been rejected, cast out, made to believe you have no value by wolves too blind to understand what stands before them. My heart breaks knowing you are suffering. But I need you to know that the truth is far more complicated than the life you were allowed to see. The curse placed upon you was intended to hide you. I believed that if you appeared weak, if the world saw only an Omega, those who hunted our family might overlook you. I thought obscurity would keep you safe from politics, bloodshed, and the enemies that destroyed so much of Silver Moon. I was wrong. My attempt to protect you also made you vulnerable. Now I must ask something frightening of you. Trust Vince Shields. I know I taught you to be cautious around Lycans. I know I told you how dangerous they can be. Vince is different. He is bound by an ancient sense of honor that most modern wolves have forgotten. More importantly, he owes me a debt. That debt can only be repaid by keeping you alive. There are truths about Silver Moon magic I never taught you. Truths about what it means to carry our blood. Vince knows them. He can train you. He can help awaken what has been bound inside you. But breaking the rite of diminishment will hurt. The curse is anchored to your deepest wounds, your rejection, your fear. Every moment someone convinced you that you were worthless. To destroy it, you will have to face those wounds instead of hiding from them. You will have to trust after trust has brought you pain. I wish I could walk beside you. I wish I could make the path easier. But some journeys cannot be inherited from another person. Know that I loved you. Your mother loved you. And the power sleeping inside you is not something you should fear. You are Silver Moon. You carry royal blood. It is time to remember what that means. With all my love, Grandmother Rosemary. P.S. Do not let Vince frighten you too much. Under all the Lycan posturing, he is actually quite decent. You did not hear that from me. Patricia read the letter again, then once more. When she finally raised her eyes, Vince was watching. She always did enjoy having the final word. Patricia folded the letter carefully. The rite of diminishment. Her voice sounded stronger. You said breaking it would be difficult. Yes. What exactly happens? Vince turned toward the fireplace. The curse survives by attaching itself to emotional wounds. He watched the flames. Rejection, shame, grief. Every time you were hurt and decided that pain proved you were worthless, the curse strengthened. Patricia swallowed. To break it, you must confront those memories. All of them? The important ones. That sounds like psychological torture. It is. Vince did not soften the answer. That is why most victims never escape this kind of curse. Living diminished feels easier than touching what broke them. Patricia thought about Lucas, Kitty, her parents, years of being ignored or mocked, the storage room. The idea of willingly returning to those memories made her want to crawl back into bed. But Rosemary's words remained in her mind. You are Silver Moon. How long? Vince looked at her. To break the curse? Yes. Days, weeks, months. It depends on you. Then his expression became serious. And there is another problem. Patricia waited. As your power returns, anyone capable of sensing ancient magic will notice. Her stomach sank. Including whoever cursed me. Yes. Patricia laughed without humor. So I either remain cursed and helpless, or break the curse and announce exactly where I am. Essentially. Wonderful. Welcome to Silver Moon royalty. For the first time since leaving Silver Pine, Patricia laughed. A small, exhausted sound. Rosemary certainly knew how to choose allies. She looked Vince over. A sarcastic Lycan king who hates everyone. I do not hate everyone. He sounded almost offended. I hate the portions of the world that murder innocent wolves and curse children. He moved closer. Patricia was again struck by how unnatural his presence felt. Too old, too controlled, too powerful for the small cabin around him. I need time. She shook her head. To understand all this, you have very little. Vince's expression sharpened. Your rejection happened hours ago. Silver Pine will already be tracking your trail. If they discover I'm here, they'll attack? No. His smile turned cold. They will report your location. To who? To the person who wanted you rejected in the first place. A chill ran along Patricia's back. And that person will send something worse. What's worse than pack trackers? Hunters. Patricia froze. Human mercenaries trained to kill supernatural beings. Vince's voice became distant. They are expensive, efficient, and morality rarely influences which contracts they accept. He looked at Patricia. I know them well. How? They nearly destroyed Blood Moon 300 years ago. Patricia slowly sat. They are the reason I disappeared. Her mind struggled to keep up. So my choices are to stay here, break a curse while professional killers come after me. She looked at him. Or leave and probably die because I have no pack. Yes. Those are terrible choices. Yes. Vince folded his arms. But they are yours. He took one step closer. So answer me, little Omega. His golden eyes held hers. Will you become what you are? Patricia said nothing. Or will you let the wolves who broke you win by convincing you there was never anything worth breaking? Patricia thought of her mother, Rosemary, Lucas, Silver Pine. She thought of 23 years spent accepting other people's judgment as evidence. I'm tired. Her voice was quiet. Vince waited. I'm tired of being small. Patricia lifted her head. I'm tired of being afraid. Her hands stopped trembling. And I'm tired of letting everyone else decide what I'm worth. For the first time, she held his gaze without looking away. Teach me. Vince remained motionless. Help me break the curse. She inhaled. Then help me find whoever did this. Approval flickered in his expression. All right. He moved nearer. But once we begin, there is no easy way back. Patricia nodded. You may become stronger than anything you currently imagine. His voice lowered. Or you may discover that facing your past is harder than remaining trapped by it. I understand. No. Vince extended his hand. You will. Patricia looked at it. The first wound is the freshest. She knew before he said it. The mate bond. Yes. Vince's voice softened. The formal rejection broke most of it, but part of you still reaches toward Lucas. Patricia hated that he was right. Part of you hopes he will return, that he will change his mind, that he will choose you after all. Vince's eyes hardened. That hope feeds the curse. How do I stop it? You let me see it. Patricia looked at him sharply. The memory, the entire rejection. His hand remained extended. You let me enter the wound. And then, we burn the bond out together. Patricia stared at his palm. Allowing someone into her mind felt more frightening than fighting. But if reclaiming herself required walking through pain, then hiding could no longer be her only response. She placed her hand in his. Power surged through the contact. Patricia gasped. It felt like grabbing a live current. Not pain. Energy. Ancient and enormous. Close your eyes. Vince's voice became the only steady thing in the room. Remember. Patricia obeyed. Do not hide from what happened. She fell backward into the memory. Pine. Cedar. Recognition. Her wolf singing with joy for a few impossible seconds. Then Lucas's face. The terror in his eyes. His voice declaring her unwanted. The bond tearing. Glass breaking. People watching. Kitty laughing. Patricia alone on the marble floor. Enough. Vince's voice cut through. Open your eyes. She did. His eyes were glowing. Bright molten gold. His hand had become almost painfully warm around hers. I'm going to remove what remains. His voice seemed deeper now. Not formally, completely. Patricia's heart raced. It will hurt. Vince held her gaze. But afterward, Lucas will have no claim on any part of you. A pause. Do you consent? Patricia remembered Lucas crying in her room. A man who claimed to care. A man who had still chosen fear. She imagined years of feeling the pull of someone who had thrown her away. I consent. Vince's power slammed into her. Patricia screamed. Chapter 6. The burning pain consumed everything. Patricia could not tell where her body ended, and Vince's magic began. It felt as though he had reached into the center of her chest and seized the remaining threads of the mate bond. Those threads were not merely connected to Lucas as a mate. They were woven through years of memory. childhood, friendship, hope. Every time Patricia's heart had changed rhythm when Lucas entered a room. Every quiet moment when she had wondered whether he saw more in her than everyone else did. Fire raced through her veins. Don't fight. Vince's command reached her through the agony. The more you resist, the more it hurts. Patricia clenched her teeth. Let it burn. But how did anyone simply let go of someone woven through so much of their life? Lucas had not always been the man who rejected her. He had once been the boy who taught her to climb trees, who shared food when other children stole hers, who told her that becoming an Omega did not change who she was. Then he became the man who stood in front of a crowded hall and abandoned the bond between them. Patricia stopped resisting. Vince's magic flooded deeper. Memories ignited. Lucas at 8, standing between Patricia and children who bullied her. Burn. Lucas at 16, watching her first shift while carefully hiding whatever he felt. Burn. Lucas at 25, avoiding her in corridors. Burn. Lucas at 27, saying the words that destroyed their bond. Burn. One by one the memories flared silver. Then became ash. The ache in Patricia's chest reached unbearable intensity. For one final moment it felt worse than the original rejection. Then, nothing. The pain vanished. Completely. Patricia collapsed. Vince caught her before she hit the floor. He lowered her carefully. She gasped for air. Every muscle shook. It's finished. Vince's voice had returned to normal. The bond is completely severed. Patricia searched inside herself. No pull, no ache, no invisible thread pointing back toward Silver Pine. Lucas was still part of her memories. But he no longer lived inside her nervous system. How do you feel? Vince asked. Patricia swallowed. Hollow. She took another breath, but lighter, normal. He helped her onto the sofa, then brought water from the kitchen. Drink. Patricia emptied half the glass immediately. The burning consumes physical energy. She finished the rest. How many more times are we doing that? That depends on how many wounds support the curse. Vince sat opposite her. The rejection was easy to reach because it happened tonight. Patricia almost laughed at his definition of easy. The older wounds will be buried deeper. What does that mean? Meditation, memory exploration, ritual work. He glanced at the books. Methods Rosemary would have known naturally. I will have to reconstruct some from old texts. So we can't just burn everything tonight. No. Vince's expression became serious. If we move carelessly, the curse will rebuild itself around pain we leave untouched. Patricia stared into the empty glass. How long until the person who cursed me notices? Impossible to know. He leaned forward. But once your power starts returning, your magical signature will change. Meaning? Anyone sensitive to old magic will begin feeling you. He stood and walked to the map. Which means we prepare. Patricia joined him. The map covered the region with glowing symbols and lines. This is my territory. Vince traced the boundary. 300 square miles of mountain forest. Patricia looked at him. All yours. All protected. His finger moved along markings. I built wards centuries ago. Nothing supernatural crosses these borders without me knowing. Nothing? Nothing supernatural. He emphasized the final word. Humans are more difficult. Patricia understood. Hunters. Exactly. Vince pointed toward red marks along the southern boundary. Old magic recognizes supernatural threats easily. Determined humans can sometimes move through where other beings cannot. What are those marks? Places where hunters attempted to enter. Patricia studied them. Most turned around when the wards pressured them. And the ones who didn't? Vince smiled coldly. They became part of the forest. Patricia looked at him. The being helping her was not gentle by nature. He had killed. Would kill again. He made no attempt to hide it. You really believe they're coming for me? I know they are. Vince turned. which means you must learn to defend yourself. Patricia looked down at her small hands. I'm not a fighter. That is conditioning. My wolf is tiny. Your wolf is cursed. He cut her off. When the rite of diminishment is broken, your true wolf will emerge. His confidence left little room for argument. She will not be small. He began walking toward the door. But until then, you still need basic combat skills. You want to train me? I want you alive. Vince opened the door. I cannot protect you every second. Patricia thought of years spent avoiding confrontation, because fighting back only brought harsher punishment. The idea of learning how not to be helpless felt almost impossible. When do we start? Vince's smile showed approval. Now. They entered the clearing behind the cabin. Morning sunlight covered the meadow. Purple flowers moved in the breeze. Birdsong had returned. The peaceful beauty made what followed feel strange. Vince moved to the middle of the grass. First lesson. Patricia stopped several feet away. Forget everything Silverpine taught you about Omega submission. His tone sharpened. In a real fight, there are no ranks, no polite rules, no showing your throat, and praying the other wolf decides to be merciful. They never taught Omega's combat. Vince slowly turned his head. Of course they didn't. His jaw tightened. Why allow people you consider weak to learn that they aren't helpless? He faced her. Show me a fighting stance. Patricia copied what she remembered seeing during training. Feet shoulder-width apart. Hands raised. Vince circled her. Too stiff. Patricia adjusted. You are standing like someone waiting to be hit. I've never done this. I noticed. He stopped. Attack me. Patricia blinked. What? Hit me. That seems like a terrible idea. Punch, kick, do anything. He folded his arms. I need to see how you move when you intend to hurt someone. Patricia hesitated. I'll embarrass myself. Probably. Her eyes narrowed. That is part of learning. Vince's expression remained calm. Attack me or stop wasting my time. Anger sparked. Patricia swung. Her punch was obvious. Slow. Poorly aimed. Vince stepped aside, caught her wrist, used her momentum, and flipped her onto her back. The impact knocked the breath from her. Pathetic. Patricia glared up. Vince did not sound mocking. Only factual. You weren't trying to hurt me. He offered his hand. You were performing an instruction. Patricia took it. This time remember everyone who hurt you. Vince pulled her upright. Every insult, every rejection, every moment someone convinced you that you deserved less. Patricia thought of Kitty, Tanya, Blake, Owen, Lucas, the storage room. She attacked. Vince blocked again, but this time he had to move more quickly. Better. His eyes flashed. Now you're angry. Patricia breathed hard. Anger is fuel. He shifted position. Use it. Do not let it use you. They trained for hours. Vince taught her to strike. Block. Use leverage. Exploit a larger opponent's balance. Fall without panicking. Patricia hit the ground more times than she could count. Bruises accumulated across her arms and legs. Then she landed a kick against Vince's knee. He actually stumbled. Patricia froze. Vince looked almost pleased. Excellent. Pride warmed her chest. You learn quickly. He reset his stance. Years in a hostile pack gave you something useful. Patricia frowned. What? You read people. He gestured toward her. You spent years watching body language, because predicting someone's mood kept you safe. Patricia slowly understood. We turn that defensive instinct into offense. Eventually, Patricia bent over with both hands on her knees. I need a break, she gasped. I think I'm dying. You are not dying. Vince sounded unimpressed. You are weak from years of neglect. Patricia glared. He finally nodded toward the cabin. Fine, food. Inside, Vince surprised her again. He cooked. Well, eggs, toast, venison sausage. Patricia ate so quickly she almost embarrassed herself. She had not realized how hungry she was. What happens next? More combat training later. Vince poured water. Tonight we begin another memory session. Patricia slowed. Tonight? This afternoon you rest. He sat. I need time to prepare the ritual space. Ritual space. The deeper memories require stronger protections. Patricia stopped eating. What protections? A warded circle. Ancient safeguards. His expression became grave. Memory work leaves the mind exposed. We cannot risk anything taking advantage while your defenses are open. Patricia put down her fork. You keep saying something is hunting my bloodline. Yes. Do you actually know what it is? Vince remained silent long enough to answer the question before he spoke. I have theories, but no certainty. No. He leaned back. The rite of diminishment is extremely old magic. Very few living beings should even know how to perform it. So we're looking for someone powerful. Very. Someone who knows ancient magic. Yes. And hates Silver Moon enough to spend 16 years maintaining a curse. Vince nodded. Patricia shivered. That sounds like someone on your level. Possibly another Lycan. Vince's face darkened. Or something worse. Patricia stared at him. Comforting. Speculation helps nothing. He gathered their plates. Once your healing magic awakens, you may be able to read magical residue on the curse. Like tracking fingerprints. In a sense. So I'm becoming a magical investigator. You are becoming difficult to kill. Vince gave her a look. Everything else is a bonus. Patricia stood. Every muscle complained. I'm going to sleep. She reached her bedroom door. Then stopped. Vince? He looked over. Why are you really doing this? His expression changed. I understand the debt to Rosemary. Patricia studied him. But you're doing more than guarding a cabin. Vince was quiet. Then the armor around his expression cracked. 300 years ago, I failed everyone who mattered to me. Patricia said nothing. Hunters destroyed my pack. His voice became lower. My family died. My people scattered. Everything I had built disappeared. The ancient Lycan king looked suddenly less immortal. I withdrew because I could not live with the knowledge that I had not been strong enough to save them. He stepped closer. Rosemary gave me another chance. Patricia's chest tightened. She trusted me with the thing she valued most. His eyes met hers. Her bloodline. A pause. Her granddaughter. He continued. The future of Silver Moon. Vince's voice hardened. I help you because I refuse to fail again. Then softer. And because you deserved better than what this world gave you. Patricia blinked away sudden tears. That is a lot of responsibility to place on one cursed Omega. Vince's answer came immediately. You are not an Omega. His golden eyes held hers. You are a princess in hiding. And it is time you started behaving like one. Chapter 7. Shadows of the Past. Patricia woke to chanting. The language was unfamiliar. Ancient. Each word seemed to vibrate through the cabin walls. She had planned to sleep for an hour. Instead, exhaustion had dragged her into a deep, dreamless rest. Twilight now painted the sky purple beyond the window. Her bruises still ached from training, but she felt stronger. She stepped into the main room and stopped. Everything had changed. Furniture had been pushed against the walls. A wide circle occupied the center of the floor, drawn with salt mixed with something silver. Symbols surrounded it. Some Patricia remembered from Rosemary's books. Others were completely unknown. 5 candles burned around the circle. Vince stood inside it, shirtless. Silver scars crossed his torso, many faintly glowing beneath candlelight. He held an old book and continued chanting until Patricia approached. Then he looked up. You're awake. His golden eyes reflected fire. Good. We begin before the moon rises completely. Patricia looked around. What is this? A protection ward. He closed the book. A memory circle. He indicated the symbols. And a binding structure to make sure anything we uncover remains contained. Patricia's stomach tightened. The wounds we're approaching tonight are older. Vince set the book down. Deeper. I thought we were going slowly. We were. This does not look slow. We no longer have time. Vince's tone sharpened. Every hour the curse remains intact gives your enemy another hour to act. Patricia looked at the circle. What happens if I can't handle it? Vince's expression softened slightly. I pull you out. And then? We try again. He approached the edge. But understand what the curse wants. Patricia looked at him. It wants you convinced you are too damaged to heal, he continued, too weak to face pain. He extended one hand. Every time you prove that belief wrong, you weaken it. Patricia stared at the circle. Years of fear pulled her backward. Rosemary's letter pushed her forward. What do I do? Sit in the center. Vince stepped over the salt line. Once we begin, you do not leave until I end the session. No matter what happens? No matter what you see or feel. Patricia entered. The instant she crossed the boundary, pressure changed around her. Not physical exactly. The air felt heavier, charged. She sat cross-legged. Vince settled opposite her. Their knees nearly touched. Hands. Patricia placed hers in his. Power surged again. Close your eyes. She obeyed. 3 breaths. Patricia inhaled. Once. Twice. 3 times. Rosemary's rhythm. Gradually the room disappeared. Patricia became aware of buried places inside herself. Old wounds she had never healed because surviving each day had seemed more urgent. I'm guiding you backward. Vince's voice sounded distant. To the moments that taught you to believe you were worthless. Patricia's pulse quickened. We are not returning to suffer again. His hands remained steady around hers. We return so you can finally understand what really happened. The world shifted. Patricia was 10 years old. She stood in the packhouse kitchen while her mother worked. Fresh bread scented the room. Sunlight turned everything gold. Alpha Owen stood in the doorway. His face was hard with anger. You need to tell her the truth, Gloria. Patricia's mother, Gloria Moses, stared back. She's a child. She still deserves the truth. She deserves a childhood before our bloodline becomes a burden she has to carry. Owen's expression twisted. Your bloodline is a curse on this pack. Young Patricia hid behind the pantry door. She did not understand the words. But she understood that Owen was angry about her. Rosemary should have stayed where she belonged, Owen said. She should have honored her duty to the Lycan king instead of fleeing to play family with a common wolf. Gloria's face tightened. Do not speak about my mother that way. If I had my preference, all 3 of you would leave Silver Pine. Owen leaned closer. But your husband is too valuable, and I'm not cruel enough to send a child into wilderness. He paused. Yet. Gloria went pale. Owen, please. Keep her ignorant. His voice lowered. Keep her small. Young Patricia listened. Keep her weak and Omega. Patricia's adult mind recoiled. And perhaps whatever follows your bloodline will pass Silver Pine. Owen stepped toward Gloria. But if I sense even a trace of Silver Moon magic in that girl, I will declare every one of you rogue. The memory broke. Another replaced it. Patricia was 16, standing in a forest clearing for the first shift ceremony. Other adolescent wolves surrounded her. She remembered the terror, the pressure, her body resisting transformation until almost everyone else had shifted. Finally, her wolf emerged. Small, russet brown, ordinary. Her father's disappointment hurt. Owen's disgust hurt more. But Kitty had looked at Patricia as though years of friendship had become embarrassing in a single second. Omega, someone whispered. Weak. Another voice. Pathetic. Worthless. The words multiplied. Followed Patricia for 7 years. Stop. Vince's voice appeared inside the memory. Patricia turned. He stood beside her. An adult figure inside a scene from 16-year-old Patricia's life. Look. He pointed toward her wolf. Not at what they saw. Patricia hesitated. Look beneath it. She focused. Then gasped. Under the russet fur. Silver. Faint markings pulsed beneath the false coat like hidden moonlight. The curse activated during your first shift. Vince stood beside her. It altered what everyone saw. Patricia stared at her younger wolf. That was never your true form. The memory moved. Rain. 2 coffins. Patricia stood alone at 16 while her parents were buried. Pack members surrounded the graves but kept their distance. No one held her. No one comforted her. Owen spoke over the coffins. Alan Mason and Gloria Moses died defending Silver Pine from rogues. Young Patricia stared down. They will be remembered as heroes. But Patricia had seen her father's body. Even then, something about the wounds bothered her. Not claws. Not teeth. Vince's voice came beside her. Hunters. Patricia's breath caught. I confirmed it later, when Rosemary asked me to investigate. He looked toward the coffins. Your parents were deliberately targeted. Patricia felt the old grief rise. Your mother was killed so her silver moon healing ability could die with her. Rain ran across young Patricia's face. She had believed she was completely alone. That was when I started thinking there was something wrong with me. Adult Patricia whispered. No. Vince's answer came firmly. You were surrounded by cowards. Patricia turned. Wolves too frightened of Owen to comfort a grieving child. He looked directly at her. That is not the same as being unworthy of comfort. Memories accelerated. Kitty's insults. Blake's advances. Tanya's contempt. Rooms falling quiet when Patricia entered. Years of tiny cruelties. No single moment catastrophic. Together, devastating. Enough. Patricia opened her eyes inside the ritual circle. Tears covered her face. Her hands had locked around Vince's. I can't. Her breath came unevenly. It's too much. Yes, you can. Vince tightened his grip. Because you have only seen what the curse wanted you to see. Silver power flowed through him. Now I will show you what it hid. Light exploded behind Patricia's eyes. Memories returned. But differently. She saw a wounded bird she had touched as a child. It should have died. Instead, it flew away. She saw plants in Rosemary's garden growing faster beneath Patricia's care. She remembered countless injuries from pack labor and training that healed unusually quickly without treatment. She had been using magic, instinctively, all along. She saw Owen looking at her. Not with disgust, fear. He had kept Patricia close because even cursed, she frightened him. She saw arguments she had never known about. Lucas confronting his father, defending Patricia quietly, trying to protect her without directly challenging Owen. She saw Tanya's contempt from another angle. Jealousy hidden inside authority. You were never worthless. Vince's voice echoed through everything. You were dangerous. Patricia trembled. Powerful. Silver light surrounded them. A threat to everyone who benefited from keeping Silver Moon buried. Patricia began to sob. They convinced you that you were Omega because the truth terrified them. Something inside her broke, not painfully, like a chain giving way. I believe you, she cried harder. I believe you. Vince's eyes blazed, then burn. His power surged. Patricia let it in. Silver fire moved through every memory of shame, every insult she had accepted as truth. Every moment she blamed herself for being mistreated. Pain tore through her. But underneath it came release. Patricia screamed. Not because she was being destroyed, because she was refusing to remain small. The candles flared. The salt circle began glowing. and somewhere deep inside, her wolf awakened. Patricia felt her clearly for the first time. Large, powerful. Silver markings glowing through her coat. That's her. Vince's voice carried approval. Let her out. Patricia's body began to shift. But this transformation did not feel like the painful struggle she had known since 16. It felt natural. Bones moved. Power surged. Her wolf pushed forward. Then howls broke through the night. Vince's head snapped toward the window. Multiple wolves. Near the border. Then another sound. Engines. Vehicles. Metal. Weapons being prepared. Silver ammunition. Vince opened his eyes. Gold fire blazed in them. Hunters. Patricia's transformation stopped, and they brought reinforcements. But we just started breaking the curse. Exactly. Vince stood. Which means someone was waiting for this moment. More howls. Patricia recognized one. Blake. Horror spread through her. Silver Pine sent trackers. Vince's face became deadly. Owen cannot afford to let you survive now. He looked toward the door. Stay inside the circle. What? Do not cross that salt line. Where are you going? The wards will protect you while you remain inside. Vince reached the door, then looked back, to remind them why Lycans were once the most feared predators alive. He paused. If I do not return, there is a box beneath the floorboards under your bed. Patricia went still. It contains everything Rosemary wanted you to have. Vince, including instructions for continuing without me. He opened the door. Use them. Wait. But he was already gone. The door slammed. Patricia stood alone in the glowing circle. Outside, danger approached. Her newly awakened wolf raged inside her. Every instinct demanded that Patricia fight beside him. But Vince had given her something she had rarely possessed. A reason to survive. Patricia sat again, closed her eyes, reached toward the power opening inside her. If hunters were coming, if Silver Pine had truly betrayed her to them, then hiding would not be enough forever. The Silver Moon bloodline had slept inside Patricia for 16 years. It was time to wake. Chapter 8. The Hunt. Battle exploded outside. The windows shook. Vince roared. It was not a wolf's howl. The sound came from something older and deeper, powerful enough to make the floor vibrate. Gunfire answered. Then screams. Patricia remained inside the circle. Every instinct told her to run outside. She forced herself to stay. Instead, she reached inward. Come on. Wake up. Her wolf responded. Stronger than ever. The curse remained, but cracks had formed. Magic hummed beneath Patricia's skin. A window shattered. Glass sprayed across the cabin floor. A figure climbed through. Human. Black tactical clothing. Masked face. A modified rifle already pointed toward Patricia. Silver bullets. The hunter moved toward her, and stopped. The ward flared. Silver light rose from the salt circle and pushed against him. Well. His voice came distorted through the mask. The stories were true. He walked around the circle. The Lycan king still remembers the old wards. Patricia remained still. The hunter examined the symbols. Smart girl. He lifted the rifle, staying inside. Then his head tilted. But wards eventually fail. His voice remained casual. And whoever hired me is very patient. Who sent you? Patricia demanded. Does it matter? He shrugged. You're dead eventually. His words were frightening because they carried no emotion. Tonight, next month, next year. He adjusted his weapon. Contracts involving Silver Moon blood do not normally end with survivors. Patricia's heartbeat accelerated. You've hunted others like me. Hunted. The hunter sounded bored. Killed. Patricia stared. Your mother was difficult. Everything inside Patricia stopped. The hunter continued. 3 of us were required. She still injured 2 before she died. Patricia's vision narrowed. Your father was easier. No magic. He almost laughed. Just loyalty. Died protecting his mate exactly like a good wolf should. Rage exploded inside Patricia. The ward reacted. Silver light surged brighter. The hunter stepped backward. You murdered my parents. Patricia's voice shook. You hunted them. We're all animals. He raised his rifle. Some of us simply have better equipment. Patricia clenched both hands. These rounds are blessed with old magic. The hunter aimed. They can penetrate protections normal silver cannot. Patricia's eyes widened. They will not kill you through the ward. He placed his finger on the trigger. But they will hurt. A shot cracked. The bullet struck the barrier. Silver light exploded. Patricia stumbled. Pain destroys concentration. Another shot. Another flash. And once concentration breaks, the ward weakened. You will walk out without even realizing why. Outside, Patricia heard more howls. Blake. Other Silver Pine trackers. Vince's voice rose in the ancient language. Power shook the air. More engines arrived. More boots. More weapons. There were too many. Even Vince could not fight hunters and Silver Pine warriors forever. I have to help. But leaving the circle would expose her. Then Patricia remembered the box. Under the floorboards. Rosemary's instructions. Maybe there was something inside that could help. Another bullet hit. The ward cracked. Not shattered. Cracked. Patricia felt it. 3 or 4 more impacts might finish it. She looked toward the bedroom. She had a choice. Remain protected until the barrier failed while Vince fought alone. Or move now. Years of fear told her to stay. Then she remembered Vince's words. You are a princess in hiding. It is time you started acting like one. Patricia stood. You know what? The hunter became alert. I'm tired of hiding. Don't be stupid. He aimed. Step outside and you die. Maybe. Patricia inhaled. Or maybe the Silver Moon bloodline is not as weak as your employer hoped. She stepped across the salt line. The hunter fired. Patricia moved. Faster than she knew she could. The bullet grazed her shoulder. Blessed silver burned like acid. She did not stop. Another shot missed. Patricia crashed into the bedroom and locked the door. She needed seconds. Nothing more. She dropped beside the bed, pulled at the floorboards. One came free. A hollow space waited beneath. Inside sat a wooden box carved with Silver Moon symbols. Patricia dragged it out, opened it. 3 objects lay inside. Rosemary's leather-bound journal. A silver dagger with moonstone embedded in the hilt, and a vial filled with faintly glowing blue liquid. The bedroom door exploded inward. The hunter stepped through. Nowhere left. Patricia seized the dagger. Power tore through her arm. The blade recognized her. Not metaphorically. Patricia felt it. The weapon connected to her blood. Her wolf surged forward. The hunter raised his gun. You're right. Patricia lifted the dagger. Her voice sounded strange, layered. No more running. He fired. Patricia moved on instinct. The blade crossed the bullet's path. Sparks exploded. The Silver Moon dagger deflected the blessed round. The hunter froze. Patricia attacked. She crossed the distance faster than an Omega should have been capable of moving. The dagger entered his shoulder. Silver fire spread from the wound. He screamed. Impossible. Patricia ripped the blade free. You're suppressed. The curse is breaking. She kicked him. The hunter flew through the doorway and crashed into the cabin table. Books scattered. Patricia followed. Power raced through her. The curse still restrained most of what she was. But Vince's ritual and Rosemary's weapon had opened something. The hunter raised the rifle. Patricia grabbed the barrel. Metal collapsed in her hand. Both of them stared at it. Then Patricia pressed the dagger against his throat. Who hired you? I don't know. She pushed harder. Who paid for my parents to die? Contracts are anonymous. He breathed quickly. But it's been active for decades. Who? I said I don't know names. Patricia's hand tightened. Wait. The hunter raised both hands. There is a symbol. Patricia paused. Every contract involving Silver Moon has it. What symbol? A black rose. He swallowed. Wrapped in silver thorns. Patricia slowly pulled the dagger back. What does it mean? A signature. He coughed. The guild has records going back 50 years. Same mark every time. He looked at the dagger. That weapon is more than silver. Patricia waited. It was designed to kill people like us. Good. An explosion outside shook the room. Vince roared. This time Patricia heard pain. The hunter noticed. There are 15 hunters outside. His voice became almost conversational. And 20 wolves from your former pack. Patricia looked toward the broken window. Even a Lycan can't fight forever. The hunter watched her. Run. Patricia turned. Take the dagger. Disappear. Live. For 1 second it sounded reasonable. Then Patricia realized she had been choosing survival through retreat her entire life. No. The hunter tensed. I'm done running. Patricia moved. The dagger flashed. The hunter fell still. Patricia stared at the body. A small piece of her recoiled. She had never killed anyone. But this hunter had helped murder her parents, had entered the cabin intending to kill her, would have fired without hesitation. Patricia took his tactical vest, 3 magazines, a combat knife. Then she noticed Rosemary's journal had fallen open. Writing covered the page. If you are reading this while desperate, little wolf, then you need to know the fastest way to destroy the rite of diminishment. Patricia grabbed the journal. The vial contains distilled moonlight essence. Power of the moon goddess, preserved through the old arts. If consumed, it can shatter the curse immediately. Patricia looked at the glowing liquid. But understand the danger. If your wounds have not been properly released, your true power may awaken faster than your body can endure. The magic can destroy you from inside. Use the essence only when death is otherwise certain. If you survive, remember this. Power without wisdom destroys the person who carries it. Vince roared again. Patricia looked at the vial. Death was already outside. She uncorked it. Moon goddess. Her voice shook. Please. Patricia drank. Power exploded. She screamed. The curse tightened around her as if alive. The moonlight pushed back. Silver energy tore through every barrier. Patricia felt 16 years of suppression cracking at once. Her wolf surged. The cabin shook with her howl. Bones changed. Muscles expanded. Silver replaced russet. When the transformation ended, Patricia was enormous. As large as an alpha-born wolf. Silver fur glowed beneath the moon. Ancient markings covered her coat. Healing, protection, royal lineage. Patricia and her wolf merged more completely than they ever had. The being standing in the destroyed bedroom felt like the truth of something hidden since childhood. Patricia seized Rosemary's dagger between her jaws, then charged outside. Her roar stopped several hunters mid-motion. Vince stood in full Lycan form. Massive, silver-white, covered in blood. Some his, most not. At least 6 hunters lay dead. Twice as many silver pine wolves had fallen, but numbers were wearing him down. He looked toward Patricia. Surprise flashed through his inhuman face. Then he smiled. About time. His voice was a growl. I was beginning to think I'd have to enjoy all of this alone. Patricia answered by attacking. She crashed into a group of hunters. Bodies flew. The dagger flashed from her jaws. 2 hunters went down before either could aim. Patricia moved like liquid silver. A silver pine wolf lunged. She recognized him from training. She caught him in midair and threw him into a tree hard enough to crack the trunk. She broke the curse. Someone shouted. Retreat. Vince immediately cut off the escape. He and Patricia moved together. No practice, no planning. Yet their fighting rhythms connected. Vince brought overwhelming strength and centuries of experience. Patricia brought speed, instinct, and healing magic that allowed her body to endure beyond normal limits. Together, they began changing the battle. Chapter 9. The Revelation. The fight continued beneath the night sky. Patricia stopped thinking and surrendered to instinct. Every small wound closed almost as quickly as it formed. Silver moon power moved through her blood. She was everything the curse had hidden, and she was furious. Every hunter before her belonged to the same world that had murdered her parents. Every Silver Pine warrior helping them had violated one of the oldest truths of pack loyalty. You did not deliver your own wolves to human hunters, not even because an alpha commanded it. Patricia had just brought down another attacker when a familiar voice cut across the chaos. "Patricia!" She turned. "Stop, please." Lucas stood near the edge of the clearing. His wolf was bloodied and exhausted. Two Silver Pine wolves remained behind him but showed no desire to attack. Patricia shifted partially. Not completely human, not completely wolf. The new ability came instinctively. Her enhanced strength remained, but she regained speech. "You came here?" Her voice carried both woman and wolf. "You rejected me." Lucas froze. "Your father declared me rogue." Patricia's silver eyes blazed. "And now Silver Pine helps hunters invade Lycan territory." She stepped toward him. "What comes next, Lucas?" Her voice became colder. "Are you going to shoot me yourself?" "I'm not with them." Lucas shifted into human form. He raised both hands. "I came to warn you." Patricia laughed. "About what? The hunters currently trying to kill us?" "My father made a deal." Lucas sounded desperate. "With someone powerful." Vince appeared beside Patricia. "This attack is only the beginning," Lucas continued. "Who?" Patricia snarled. "Who wants Silver Moon dead?" "I don't know the name." "Convenient. He never told me." Lucas stepped forward. "But I know what they promised him." Patricia waited. "They promised my father the ability to absorb Lycan power." Vince became still. "To become more than alpha." "That is impossible." His growl deepened. "A Lycan is born, not manufactured. Unless someone found a way." Lucas looked toward Patricia. "My father has researched old magic for years, ever since he discovered Patricia's bloodline." Patricia felt cold. "He believes Silver Moon blood can fuel a transformation." "My blood. Not only your blood." Lucas's expression darkened. "Your death." Patricia went silent. "The ritual requires a Silver Moon descendant to be sacrificed during a lunar eclipse." Lucas swallowed. "There is one in 3 days." 3 days? "That's why the hunters came tonight." Lucas looked at her transformed body. "My father wanted you dead before you broke the curse." Awe and fear mixed in his eyes. "But now, what?" "If you really have awakened," he shook his head, "you might have a chance." "Against your father?" Vince demanded. "Against whoever is controlling him." Lucas looked haunted. "I saw the person once." Patricia and Vince both focused on him. "They came to meet my father secretly. I followed." "What did you see?" Vince commanded. "A tall figure." Lucas closed his eyes briefly. "Dark robes. Power so strong my wolf wanted to submit and flee at the same time." "Human? No." "Wolf? No." Lucas opened his eyes. "Something else." Vince stepped closer. "Describe the face." "I barely saw it." The hood slipped for a moment. Lucas visibly shuddered. The eyes were black. How black? No whites. His voice dropped. "No iris. Nothing but darkness." Vince became completely motionless. "A void walker." Patricia looked at him. "What is that?" "Something that should no longer exist." Vince's voice had changed. Void walkers existed before the moon goddess established her domain. Lucas listened. They feed on magic, Vince continued. Life force, supernatural essence. What happened to them? The goddess hunted them. His face hardened. They threatened everything alive. She drove them into extinction. Apparently not all of them. Lucas looked toward the forest. This one has been hiding. Patricia remembered the hunter. The black rose. Vince turned toward her. The contracts on Silver Moon blood all carried a black rose wrapped in silver thorns. Patricia's mind raced. That mark wasn't a person. She looked at Vince. It belongs to this thing. Most likely. Vince nodded. Voidwalkers are not random predators. They plan. He turned back to Lucas. If one has targeted Silver Moon for decades, there is a purpose. Lucas hesitated. I heard something about the ritual. What? It isn't simply meant to make my father powerful. He lowered his voice. It opens something. Vince's eyes narrowed. The Voidwalker called it a door between realms. Patricia's stomach tightened. It said Silver Moon blood was the key to. A howl interrupted Lucas. Engines started farther away. Remaining hunters were retreating. Surviving Silver Pine wolves moved with them. Vince looked toward the sound. They're regrouping. Or they already got what they needed. Patricia slowly understood. Vince turned. What do you mean? This wasn't an actual attempt to kill me. Lucas stared. It was a test. Patricia looked at her glowing hands. They wanted to know whether the curse had broken. Her voice became quieter. They wanted to see what I could do. Lucas's expression changed. And we showed them. He stepped closer. Patricia, leave. No. Leave the region. No. The Voidwalker will keep coming. I know. Lucas stared. I'm done running. Patricia looked at Vince. You said they consume supernatural essence. Yes. What happens if one consumes a Lycan? Vince's expression darkened. It could become nearly unstoppable. He spoke carefully. Lycan power might allow a Voidwalker to tear through dimensional barriers, possibly even destroy protections the Moon Goddess created to contain their kind. And Silver Moon? Vince was quiet. Healing is life-giving magic. Patricia understood before he finished. If a Voidwalker corrupted it, it might regenerate indefinitely. Vince looked grim. Heal any damage. Survive wounds that should destroy it. True immortality. Yes. Patricia looked between them. So it needs two things. Her mind assembled the pieces. Lycan power to break dimensions. Vince nodded. And Silver Moon power to become impossible to kill. Another nod. It's manipulating Owen. Patricia understood. Promising him Lycan strength while using him to gather the two kinds of magic it actually wants. The eclipse. Lucas looked pale. 3 days. That's when it acts. A wave of dizziness hit Patricia. She stumbled. Vince caught her immediately. Patricia? Her body suddenly burned. The moonlight. What? The vial. She gasped. I drank distilled moonlight without preparation. Vince's expression changed. My body. Patricia struggled to breathe. It can't hold this much. Her legs collapsed. Vince caught her. Silver fur disappeared as Patricia involuntarily shifted fully human. She shook violently in the cold night. Lucas immediately turned his face away and removed his shirt. He tossed it toward Vince. She needs a healer. Rosemary was the last Silver Moon healer. Vince lifted Patricia. Then what do we do? We stabilize her. Vince began carrying her toward the cabin. And trust her own magic to save her. Patricia tried to speak. No words came. Power seemed to be consuming her from inside. Vision darkened around the edges. She had broken the curse, awakened, fought beside a Lycan king, and now she might die because her body could not survive becoming what it had always been. So much for being a princess. Then warmth spread across her chest. The silver wolf pendant, Rosemary's necklace. It glowed. A voice touched Patricia. Not sound. Memory and presence. Rosemary. Breathe, little wolf. Patricia's eyes closed. Your body remembers. Trust your magic. Trust yourself. The power is not killing you. Your fear of it is. Let go. Patricia stopped fighting the energy, stopped trying to force it down, stopped trying to control something she barely understood. She let it move. Magic flooded through her. Wild. Brilliant. Free. It swept through every cell. Then gradually, it settled, not disappearing, finding its place, finding her. The magic recognized Patricia not as a prison but as home. Her eyes opened, pure silver. I'm okay. Vince stopped walking. Patricia? I'm okay. He looked down at her. Are you certain? Yes. She felt the power now. Balanced. My body needed to remember how to contain it. Vince carried her to the porch and carefully set her down. Lucas remained several feet away. Patricia touched the glowing pendant. Rosemary left me another guide. Vince looked at it. She always planned farther ahead than everyone else. He turned toward Lucas. You should leave. Lucas shook his head. If your father learns you warned us, he already knows. Lucas looked toward Patricia. I'm not returning to Silver Pine. Patricia said nothing. My father has crossed every line. Lucas's voice hardened. He gave his own wolves to hunters. He allied himself with something ancient for personal power. His shoulders lowered. I can't serve that. Then he looked directly at Patricia. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. She remained silent. I failed you. His voice broke slightly. But if you allow me to stay, I want to fight. Patricia studied him. The bond was gone. Completely. When she looked at Lucas now, she felt no supernatural pull, only distant sadness and pity. But she remembered the boy he had once been. She also understood the reality before them. A void walker. A corrupted alpha. 3 days. Vince and Patricia needed every ally they could get. You can stay. Lucas visibly exhaled. But listen carefully. Patricia stood. I'm not the Omega you rejected. Silver flashed in her eyes. I'm not the girl who will forgive anything to keep everyone comfortable. She stepped toward him. If weakness or loyalty to your father causes you to betray us. Lucas did not move. I will end you myself. Understood? Lucas nodded. Completely. Good. Patricia pulled his shirt tighter around her. We have 3 days. She looked between Lucas and Vince. 3 days to prepare for a void walker, Owen, and everyone they bring. Lucas shook his head. That's suicide. Probably. We should find reinforcements. There aren't any. Patricia's answer came immediately. The supernatural world thinks void walkers are extinct. Vince nodded. Even if another pack believed us, no army could mobilize in 3 days. Lucas looked at Patricia. You just awakened. You barely control what you are. That's what Rosemary prepared me for. She glanced toward the ruined cabin. Why else leave the journals? The dagger? The moonlight? Patricia looked into the blood-covered clearing. She knew someday, whatever hunted our family would reveal itself. Her silver eyes brightened. We train. She turned to Vince. We learn everything we can. Then to Lucas. We find out how void walkers die. Lucas gave a bleak smile. Assuming they can. Patricia looked at Rosemary's dagger. Everything can die. Her voice carried certainty. You only need the correct weapon. They were outnumbered. Underprepared. Facing an enemy that had planned for decades. But they possessed one thing the enemy might not understand. None of them had anything left worth surrendering. 3 days. Patricia looked toward the moon. Then we finish this. Chapter 10. The Eclipse. 3 days passed with brutal speed. Patricia spent almost every waking moment training. Vince pushed her without mercy. Her newly awakened silver moon abilities surpassed anything she had expected. She could heal injuries that would have killed ordinary wolves, sense living beings from hundreds of yards away, manipulate life energy enough to strengthen another creature or weaken an opponent. But Vince repeated the same lesson constantly. Power without control is chaos. Patricia shifted from human to wolf, then back. Faster. She gritted her teeth, shifted again. In combat, hesitation kills. Each transformation became smoother, faster, but it still required energy. Lucas also became useful in ways Patricia had not expected. Before fleeing Silver Pine, he had stolen documents from Owen's office. Ritual notes, maps, records of ancient magic, and information concerning Voidwalkers. Lucas spread several pages over the repaired cabin table. According to these notes, Voidwalkers become vulnerable during dimensional transitions. Patricia leaned over the paper. When they pull energy from the void? Yes. Lucas pointed to a diagram. For roughly 3 seconds, their physical form destabilizes. 3 seconds. Patricia frowned. That's not much. It can be enough. Vince stood beside her. With your speed, 3 seconds is a very long opening. Lucas turned another page. The ritual requires several components. Patricia listened. Silver moon blood. Obviously. A vessel capable of holding stolen Lycan essence. My father thinks he'll be the vessel. Vince's mouth hardened. And a tether. Patricia looked up. What kind? Something emotionally connected to Silver Moon. Lucas met her eyes. An object carrying strong grief or attachment. Patricia immediately touched Rosemary's necklace. They don't have anything. Rosemary's possessions are here, Vince agreed. Unless... Patricia stopped. My parents. Lucas looked at her. What happened to everything from our house after they died? His expression turned grim. My father had it boxed and stored beneath the pack house. He said why. Standard procedure. Patricia understood. But now, he was collecting possible tether objects. Anger rose. He planned this before their deaths. Patricia stared at the documents. The murders. Her voice hardened. My curse. She thought of Lucas. The rejection. Her eyes lifted. Everything led here. Then let that arrogance destroy him. Vince placed one hand on the table. Owen believes he understands you. Patricia looked at him. He expects the frightened Omega he controlled for years. Vince's golden eyes sharpened. Let him meet the truth. The eclipse arrived beneath a perfectly clear sky. No clouds. A bright moon slowly approaching Earth's shadow. Patricia stood outside the cabin dressed for combat. Rosemary's dagger was strapped against her thigh. The wolf pendant glowed faintly against her chest. Vince stepped beside her in dark clothing. Nothing loose. Nothing decorative. Nothing an enemy could grab. Ready? No. Patricia looked toward the mountains. But I doubt anyone is ready to fight something older than most civilizations. Vince almost smiled. We move anyway. Lucas emerged, carrying supplies. The ritual site is 5 miles north. He opened a map. An old stone circle on the edge of former Silver Pine territory. How many wolves? Patricia asked. All combat-capable members. Lucas looked unhappy. My father told them this is sacred, that his ascension will make him powerful enough to protect the pack forever. They don't know about the Voidwalker. No. So 60 wolves. Patricia counted mentally. A Voidwalker. She glanced at Vince. Possibly hunters. Vince nodded. Bad odds. Terrible. Then we do not fight everyone. Vince unfolded another map. The ritual only works during full eclipse. He traced a position. They have approximately 20 minutes. Patricia saw it. The Voidwalker will be focused on the spell. Owen will be focused on becoming a Lycan. The pack will be watching. Exactly. Vince's smile turned predatory. We strike when everyone believes they have already won. Lucas frowned. One problem. They looked at him. They need Patricia's blood. Patricia understood. They'll expect me. If you never appear, Owen knows the plan failed. Patricia considered it. Then let them capture me. No. Vince answered instantly. Vince. No. If they believe I'm helpless, they can kill you in 1 second with the correct silver weapon. Vince's voice hardened. You are powerful, not immortal. Lucas nodded reluctantly. He's right. Patricia crossed her arms. My father has seen enough of your strength to know you're dangerous. He won't take unnecessary chances. Then what? Vince turned toward Lucas. We create a distraction Owen cannot ignore. Lucas frowned. Your father declared you traitor? Yes. Then return. Lucas stared. Vince continued. And challenge him for Alpha. Silence. Patricia looked at Lucas. A formal challenge. Under pack law, Vince said, Owen cannot refuse without appearing weak before his wolves. Lucas slowly understood. He'll have to fight me before completing the ritual. Exactly. The eclipse window is still short. Patricia looked at Vince. We only gain minutes. Minutes are enough. Vince pointed at the map. While Owen fights Lucas, the pack watches. He moved his finger toward the stone circle. You and I enter from the opposite side. Patricia followed the plan. Destroy the tether. Then kill the Void Walker when its physical form destabilizes. Patricia studied the map for another minute. Too many variables. Too many ways to fail. But every other plan was worse. All right. She turned toward Lucas. There's something you need to understand. He waited. If you challenge your father publicly, Silver Pine may never completely trust you as Alpha afterward. Lucas's expression remained calm. You'll always be the son who turned against his father. I know. His answer came quietly. But being accepted matters less than stopping him. He looked at Patricia. Some things matter more than obedience. The words carried their own apology. Patricia nodded. Nothing else needed saying. Less than 2 hours remained. They had their plan, their weapons, their choices. The ancient stone circle looked exactly as ominous as Patricia expected. 12 enormous stones stood in a perfect ring. Symbols older than modern languages covered every surface. Approximately 60 silver pine wolves gathered around the site. Some watched with reverence, others with uncertainty. Owen stood at the center. Ceremonial robes covered his broad body. Beside him stood the hooded Void Walker. On the ground lay ritual components. A silver bowl holding red glowing liquid, a dark dagger suspended near a tripod, and a photograph. Patricia's breath stopped. Her mother. The tether. Rage rose instantly. Vince put a hand against her arm. Wait. They remained hidden in the undergrowth. The moon moved deeper into shadow. Owen raised both arms. Tonight, Silver Pine witnesses a new age. His voice carried across the clearing. Tonight I rise beyond Alpha. The pack watched. Beyond the limits placed upon our kind. He looked toward the darkening moon. Tonight I become something Wolfkind has not seen in generations. His voice rose. A true Lycan. Many wolves howled. A few remained silent. The Void Walker stepped forward. Its voice seemed to emerge from every direction. The blood of Silver Moon. The clearing quieted. That is the final requirement. Owen gestured. 2 warriors dragged a struggling woman forward. Patricia froze. Kitty. Vince's gaze sharpened. The Void Walker circled her. There is Silver Moon blood here. Kitty stared in horror. What? Diluted. The creature leaned closer, distant. Its black presence pressed over the clearing. But, present. Kitty struggled. No. She may substitute if the direct descendant cannot be acquired. What are you talking about? Kitty turned toward Owen. You promised I would be Luna. Owen stared at her without compassion. You descend from Gloria Moses's sister. Patricia's heart pounded. That makes you a distant relative of Patricia. Kitty went white. Your blood will work. Owen looked toward the Voidwalker. Less effectively, perhaps. She will suffice. The Voidwalker confirmed. Stop! Lucas's voice rang through the clearing. Every head turned. Owen's face twisted. My traitor son. Lucas entered openly. Have you returned to witness your Alpha ascend? No. Lucas stopped before the pack. I returned to challenge a tyrant. Whispers spread. Lucas raised his voice. I, Lucas Morrison, invoke my right under traditional pack law to challenge Owen Kane for leadership of Silver Pine. Chaos erupted. Owen's face darkened. Now? Lucas stared back. You dare interrupt me with this? Pack law is pack law. Lucas remained calm. Unless you now claim to stand above the traditions you demand everyone else obey. Wolves began looking at one another. Lucas continued. If so, you aren't an alpha. His voice sharpened. You're a dictator hiding behind fear. Owen's face turned purple. Several pack members nodded. Doubt spread. Fine. Owen's voice became a growl. I will kill you quickly. He removed the ceremonial robe. And every wolf you ever knew will watch you die. Lucas shifted. That's the plan. Owen transformed. The two wolves collided. Every member of Silver Pine turned toward the challenge. Owen was larger, older, more experienced. Lucas was faster, younger, and fighting for something beyond his own power. Now, Vince whispered. He and Patricia moved. They circled wide, approached the ritual from behind. The Voidwalker remained perfectly still. Too still. Patricia should have noticed. They reached 10 feet from the stone circle. Then the creature spoke without turning. The Lycan King. Patricia stopped. And the Silver Moon Princess. Vince's muscles tightened. How predictable. The Voidwalker turned. Its hood slipped back. Patricia saw the face. Beautiful in one moment. Horrifying in another. Almost human. Completely wrong. And the eyes? Black. Entirely. Did you believe I wouldn't sense you? It looked at Patricia. I have hunted Silver Moon blood for 3 centuries. Vince's expression changed. 3 centuries. Yes. You were present during the fracturing. The creature smiled. When the great packs collapsed. Vince stared. I caused it. The Voidwalker sounded proud. It was remarkably easy. Its voice moved like stone scraping stone. Whisper to ambitious alphas. Patricia listened. Promise them power. The creature looked toward Owen's fight. Then watched them betray the Lycans who protected them. Vince's face became murderous. The great packs destroyed themselves. The Voidwalker smiled wider. I merely gave them permission. Its black eyes returned to Patricia. And you, little princess. Patricia tightened one hand around Rosemary's dagger. Have you wondered why Silver Moon has been hunted so thoroughly? Because we heal. Partly. Because our magic can repair what your kind corrupts. Partly. The Voidwalker raised one hand. But there is more. Magic exploded outward. Patricia tried to move. Too slow. Dark energy wrapped around her like chains. She was dragged into the circle. Vince lunged. The creature gestured again. Vince flew backward. His body struck one of the standing stones. Rock cracked. Patricia struggled. The truth. The Voidwalker pulled her closer. Is that Silver Moon blood does not merely heal. The magical bonds tightened. It creates. Patricia stopped fighting for 1 second. Your ancestors were prison wardens. The creature leaned close. They helped seal my kind beyond this realm. Patricia's blood ran cold. But your blood is also the key to our prison. Around them, most of Silver Pine still watched Lucas and Owen. For 3 centuries I have collected silver moon essence. The Voidwalker raised the dark dagger. Every death. Patricia's heart hammered. Every murdered descendant. A terrible smile. Every drop preserved for this moment. Patricia stared. With a living silver moon descendant and Lycan essence. The darkness around it intensified. I can tear open the wall between dimensions. Vince struggled to rise. My brethren will return. The creature's voice seemed to fill the night, and the age the moon goddess prevented will finally begin. You're insane. Patricia struggled against the bonds. I am inevitable. The Voidwalker raised the dagger over Patricia's heart. Rosemary delayed me. Its black eyes narrowed. She hid you. The blade lowered. She made you stronger. Patricia tried to move. Which means your death will give me even more than I expected. The dagger descended, then stopped. A hand caught the blade. Silver light flared. Patricia stared. Kitty. Her hand gripped the dark dagger even as its energy burned her skin. Her eyes glowed. You said... Kitty's voice trembled beneath another ancient tone. I have silver moon blood. The Voidwalker stared. Diluted. Kitty tightened her grip. Distant. Silver fire spread around her. But still there. Kitty released a burst of healing power. Pure silver light struck the Voidwalker. The magical chains around Patricia shattered. She fell free. Impossible. The creature recoiled. You aren't awakened. Kitty's eyes blazed. I am now. She looked toward Patricia. Pain filled her face. I was horrible to you. Patricia froze. Cruel. Kitty's voice broke. I let jealousy turn me into someone I hated. Kitty, but if I can do one thing right. Tears ran down Kitty's face. Maybe I can know I wasn't completely worthless. Don't. Patricia reached for her. Kitty attacked. She drove herself into the Voidwalker before it recovered. Her glowing hand struck its chest. Then Kitty released every piece of silver moon power her untrained body possessed. The creature screamed. Reality itself seemed to tear around the sound. Darkness poured from its chest. Its form destabilized. The dimensional anchor began collapsing. Patricia! Vince had regained his feet. Now. Patricia grabbed Rosemary's dagger. She moved. 3 seconds. Maybe less. She drove silver moon steel into the Voidwalker's chest beside Kitty's hand. Silver fire exploded. The creature screamed again. Its form burned from inside. It tried to retreat between dimensions. But Kitty's sacrifice had closed the path. The Voidwalker began disintegrating. This is not over. Its voice fractured. There are others. Patricia held the dagger. They will come. Darkness peeled away. They will finish what I... Silver fire consumed the final words. The creature vanished. Only ash remained. Kitty collapsed. Patricia caught her. One of Kitty's hands had burned black. Her body shook. I'm sorry. Patricia held her. For everything. Kitty coughed. Blood touched her lips. For being weak. No. For being cruel. Kitty. For not being brave enough to remain your friend when it mattered. Patricia's eyes filled. You were brave when it mattered most. Kitty looked at her. You saved everyone. Patricia's voice broke. You're a hero. Kitty smiled faintly. Really? Really? Good. Her eyes began closing. That's... Her breath weakened. That's good. A final whisper. Tell Lucas I'm sorry too. Kitty exhaled. Did not inhale again. Patricia held her. Grief and gratitude tore in opposite directions. Kitty had helped make Patricia's life miserable. But in the end, when everything depended on one decision, Kitty had chosen courage. A howl cut through the clearing. Patricia looked up. Owen lay on the ground. His throat had been torn open. His eyes stared toward the eclipsed moon. Lucas stood over him, bloodied. Exhausted. Alive. Silver Pine fell silent. Its wolves looked from their dead alpha to the ashes of the Void Walker, then toward Patricia holding Kitty. It's over, Lucas's voice carried. Owen Kane conspired with a Void Walker for personal power. Wolves listened. He betrayed his own pack. Lucas stood straighter. I claim leadership by right of combat and right of justice. He looked around the gathered wolves. If anyone challenges that claim, step forward. No one moved. Lucas breathed once. Then my first act as Alpha is this. Patricia Alvarez and Vince Shields are friends of Silver Pine. Patricia stared. They will be protected on our land and welcomed by our wolves. Lucas looked at Kitty, and Kitty McAuliffe died saving every one of us. His voice became rough. Her sacrifice will be remembered in Silver Pine history. One wolf howled, then another. Soon the entire pack joined. A mourning song. For the dead, for the living, for endings, for whatever came next. Patricia carefully placed Kitty's body down. Vince offered his hand. She accepted. Every part of Patricia's body trembled. What now? She asked. Vince looked at her. His golden eyes had softened. Now? He glanced toward the mountains. Now you decide what life you want. Patricia said nothing. You are free of the curse. He looked toward Owen's body. Free of the pack that diminished you. Then toward the ashes. Free of the enemy that hunted your family. Patricia looked around. Lucas faced a pack that might take years to trust him. Kitty waited to be honored. Ancient knowledge remained inside Rosemary's cabin, and Patricia's magic had only begun to awaken. I want to learn. Vince looked at her. Everything. Patricia touched the pendant. My power, Silver Moon, what my family was supposed to be. Her expression hardened. And I want to make certain what happened to my mother never happens to another family. She looked up. Will you teach me? Vince studied her. Not just enough to survive. Patricia continued. Everything you know. For the first time, Vince smiled without darkness behind it. I thought you would never ask. And after? What? After I learn. Vince looked thoughtful. After that. He took Patricia's hand. You become what you were always supposed to become. She waited. Not an Omega. His grip was warm. Not a victim. Patricia's eyes shone. Not merely a princess. Vince's voice steadied. You become a protector. The healer the supernatural world has been missing. Patricia squeezed his hand. Their connection was not a mate bond. It did not need to be. It had been forged through trust. Battle. Mutual loss. Respect. Sounds exhausting. Patricia gave a tired laugh. Almost certainly. Vince smiled. But you appear capable. Lucas approached. Still in wolf form. Patricia looked at him. The boy who had once protected her. The man who rejected her. The alpha who finally challenged his father. She did not forgive him completely. Maybe she never would. The rejection left wounds no magic could erase instantly. But Patricia could work beside him. Perhaps help build a Silver Pine that never treated another child as she had been treated. Maybe one day they could become something like friends again. Thank you. Lucas looked surprised. For challenging him. Patricia continued. For the distraction. A pause. For being brave when it finally mattered. Lucas shifted human and retrieved clothing. Patricia politely turned away until he dressed. I should thank you. His voice was quiet. For saving all of us. He hesitated. For being stronger than anyone understood. He searched for the rest. For surviving, Patricia supplied. Lucas gave a faint smile. Yes, that's what people like us do. Patricia looked toward the path. We survive. Then she corrected herself. No. Vince glanced at her. We survive first. She started walking. Then we learn how to actually live. Vince joined her. Behind them, the eclipse ended. Silver moonlight slowly returned to the world. Ahead, the trail wound through forest and meadow toward the cabin. Not a hiding place anymore. Home. So, Vince spoke casually. Tomorrow morning, controlled shifting. Patricia stopped. Tomorrow morning. Then, advanced healing. You cannot be serious. Completely. We fought a Voidwalker tonight. Yes. Can we have one day? Vince looked at her. Would the Voidwalker have given you one? It's dead. There are others. His expression became serious. You heard its warning. Patricia's humor faded. Training is no longer just about you, Vince continued. It is preparation for whatever follows. Patricia sighed. He was right. Tonight's battle had ended. That did not mean darkness had disappeared. There would always be another enemy seeking power, another person willing to destroy what they did not understand. But for the first time in Patricia's life, she did not feel small before that possibility. She was not the Omega Silverpine had created, not diminished, not suppressed, not defined by another wolf's cruelty. She was Patricia Alvarez, the last Silver Moon healer, survivor of the rite of diminishment, a woman who had looked at a creature older than civilizations and refused to run. She was powerful, she was free, and she was finally becoming herself. Epilogue. 6 months later, Patricia stood in the meadow behind the cabin with silver light glowing between her hands. A young wolf lay before her, with an injury from training. He belonged to Silver Pine. Lucas had begun sending younger pack members to Patricia so they could learn something Owen had never taught them. Strength existed in more than one form. Patricia passed glowing hands over the injury. Tissue closed. The wound disappeared. There, the silver light faded. Try being more careful next time. The boy shifted human. He looked about 14. His eyes were wide. Thank you, healer Patricia. He looked at the healed injury. You're amazing. Adequate. Patricia smiled. Amazing requires several more years of practice. The boy laughed. Now go before Lucas starts wondering whether I kidnapped one of his trainees. He ran toward the forest. Patricia remained in the meadow. She closed her eyes, reached outward. Life surrounded her. Trees, grass, small creatures in the underbrush, birds overhead, and inside the cabin, Vince, powerful enough that she could always identify his presence instantly. Her abilities had grown dramatically. Patricia could heal injuries she once thought impossible, sense danger from miles away, encourage plants to grow by feeding them small amounts of Silver Moon energy. But the greatest change had nothing to do with magic. She was happy, not merely safe, not merely surviving. Happy. You're smiling. Patricia opened her eyes. Vince approached from the cabin, carrying 2 cups of tea. Successful lesson? I was thinking. She accepted a cup. Dangerous activity. Patricia gave him a look. They sat on the porch steps. I was thinking about how different everything is. She looked across the meadow. How different I am. You aren't as different as you think. Patricia turned. You were always strong. Vince spoke without teasing. Always brave. She looked down at her tea. Always kind. His golden eyes held hers. And worth more than 1,000 cowardly alphas. Patricia smiled. You are simply willing to believe it now. She leaned against his shoulder. Comfortable. Safe. The mate bond she once believed would define her entire life was gone. In its place stood something Patricia valued differently. Partnership. Trust. Respect. Choice. I received a letter from Nightshade today. Vince lifted one eyebrow. They want to send several young healers here. For training? Yes. Patricia turned the cup between her hands. They want to study old Silver Moon techniques. What did you say? That I'd consider it. Why only consider? Teaching people is a responsibility. Vince looked at her. You will be good at it. How do you know? Because you understand what it means to be underestimated. His voice became quieter. And Rosemary had an extraordinary gift for teaching. Patricia smiled. Listen to you. What? Wise, supportive. She leaned away to look at him. What happened to the terrifying Lycan king who threatened to remove me from his territory? Vince looked toward the setting sun. He met someone who reminded him why protecting others still matters. Patricia's smile faded into something softer. Someone who reminded him that hiding for 300 years does not make the world less painful. His gaze shifted toward her. It only makes the pain lonelier. Patricia understood. Beneath the power and reputation stood a man who had lost nearly everything. A man who had blamed himself for centuries. A man learning, one day at a time, that connection was still worth risking. Thank you. Vince frowned slightly. For what? Everything. Patricia looked toward the cabin. For training me. Then toward the mountains. For protecting me when I didn't even understand what was happening. She touched Rosemary's pendant. For being exactly the ally my grandmother believed I would need. Vince studied her. Then thank you as well. Patricia raised an eyebrow. For walking onto this land even after Lucas warned you not to. A small smile touched his mouth. For claiming an inheritance without understanding what waited inside it. Patricia laughed softly. For surviving a curse that should have remained unbreakable.